starting lineup of your favorite show. At producer, 5'11" from Blanchester, the cow killer, Casey McCollister. And comic engineer, standing at 4'8", the pride of the West Side, Elliot Rearing. And your host, weighing 150 pounds, soaking wet, from Hamilton, Ohio, Ace Fowler.
Well, hello! Look at this! Look at this! Like Joe Burrow in the 2021 postseason, we were scrambling this morning. We were running around like rats, or I guess a mouse over here. But this is the new look. This is what we teased. Welcome into Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. We're giving you a new look. I told you for weeks that I wasn't the host, that this wasn't the host desk, but now we're showing it. This is the show. This is the show. This is us. Got Elliot Rearing, Jacob Tissick, guys. We got no TVs to see what's live.
That's fine. I like being in the dark here. You don't know what we look like. But listen, I decided to wear a polo today for this brand new look, so I'm ready to roll. I think I'm batting one for, I don't know how many shows I've done. One for 300 on polos worn during this show, and that's today. That's for you guys.
You look good.
Thank you. I'm ready.
Really good.
I'm ready to roll. I'll tell you what. Last night was a very fun night, and outside of the Reds' loss, but it was a very fun night. It was the whole Chatterbox crew for the most part. Reed.
Yeah. So can we talk about this for a second?
Let's flush it out.
You know, we finish the show. We're sitting here talking about what content we're gonna put out, and Elliot goes, "Hey, we're gonna go down and do some Man on the Street." That's a spoiler of something that we are gonna release later this week. A little Man on the Street. Sure. And Casey's like, "Yeah, I'm going to go down and film it." And then Jimmy and Jeremiah are like, "Yeah, we're going to go down and help." And I start putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and everyone that works in this room throughout the day was going. I don't know if my invite got lost in the mail. I don't know if they just didn't want me to come. But for whatever reason, I wasn't invited. It certainly didn't keep me up last night.
We had fun.
I think it did.
I'm sure
you
you guys
had
had fun. I wasn't there. Why? I would ruin the fun.
I want to say something. When the Reds are good, more people show up. I'm starting to root against the Reds because I was very frustrated. We did the method where you buy cheap seats. Shout out to Nate for getting me in. Member Nate got me into the ballpark last night. You buy the cheap seats and then you move down. Last night there were so many people there, I could not use my trick. Jimmy, Casey, Jacob, and your friend Jacob, we were all sitting in, I think we're section 133. And we're sitting there, we're comfortable, gets to the third inning. And if I'm going to be honest, if you show up to a game in the third inning, you lose the right to your seats.
I could not agree more.
Really?
But saying that,
really,
people came in and they're like, you know what, we're sitting here. These are our seats. So I said, okay, now we got to move. So Jacob and his buddy, they go back to their seats. And the four of us, Nate, Jimmy, Casey, and myself, we said, you know what, we're going to go up. We're going to go look around. Maybe there's some stuff on the third base side. Nowhere in the ballpark on the lower level was there seats available to us that you could just sit and find. We had to just find seats up in the bleachers or up in the nosebleeds in left field. I've never sat there. It was the worst seat I've ever had. It really was. You couldn't see the home run fence. Thank God nobody hit a home run, but if there was a home run hit, we couldn't see it. So from now on, I want like 3,000 people back at the ballpark, and I promise I won't complain, but I will.
So here's what I like about you, Elliot, is last year you were complaining that no one's going to the game, and it's an important time of the year. Why is no one going to the game? And then last night he's like, well, why is everyone at the game? Stop going to the games. Like, what is it?
Yeah, it's back and forth, unfortunately, and I'm never really going to have an answer for it. But selfishly, I would like nobody there.
I want full crowds when I'm watching at home, so I can point to the stadium being great, and I want it empty when I'm there, so I don't have to pay for nice seats.
Correct. But I guess going forward, I'm just going to have to pay for nice seats. That's the plan. It's going to be crowded tonight too. It's I'll tell you what. The Elly bobblehead special. It's going to bring 35,000.
How early do you think you have to get there to secure a bobblehead tonight?
Only 15,000 people are getting bobbleheads. I'd imagine some people are getting like 5 to 6 of them.
Of course.
So saying all that, you're going to have to be there at 4 o'clock. 4:30?
Can we talk about how the Ohio Cup is a draw?
Yeah.
It is a draw.
It might be.
You guys asked me yesterday off air. They said, what do we think the attendance is for this 2-game series? And I said, 31, 32. They were kind of trolling me because I didn't know it was Elly bobblehead tonight. They figured over 30 was going to be tonight. But then they get 35 yesterday.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The Ohio Cup's a draw.
You might get 70,000 people in a 2-game series.
The Guardians might be the Reds' biggest rival.
This is where you lose me. And I talked.
People don't show up for the Cardinals games, not the Pirates games, not the Brewers games.
I talked to several people down on the streets outside of GABP and in the banks. And by the way, from the last time we did that, from the from the first time we did it to now, there was probably, Casey, I want to say like 50 to 100 total people outside the ballpark and or in the banks. And that was like with an hour to go. Yesterday, with like 2.5 hours before the game, there was thousands of people already down there ready to roll. So maybe you're right. Maybe it is the biggest draw because it's the biggest rivalry. However, the fans I asked them about the Ohio Cup and the sacredness of it, and not a person had a clue about it.
Well, if they were they Reds fans?
No, they were Guardians. I think we had every more Guardians fans.
Because I was going to say, if it was Reds fans, there's a clear reason why they don't know what the Ohio Cup is.
Yeah, that's fair. We don't win a lot, but we have a lot of fun. Another event that happened last night that I thought was pretty cool, our guy Jimmy went viral. Jimmy, how you doing?
Jimmy clicks.
I'm good. It was pretty cool. I won't lie, but the 19-year-old kid ran on the field, and I was like, oh, I have to video this. And so I took out my phone, and when I zoomed in, it was like the perfect time of right when he was about to do the backflip to then go and getting tased. And Casey was like, "You're gonna post that, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, sweet." So I posted it, and I think I had a feeling that it was gonna get a lot of views, because right when I posted it, I hadn't even swiped out of the app yet, and it already had 15 likes. And over 100 views. So I was like, oh, okay. And then, it kind of took off from there, and a couple other accounts used it. Jacob and I were driving back, and we saw that Overtime posted it, which was was pretty awesome. And, yeah, it was exciting. I won't even lie.
Jimmy Clicks is here to stay, baby. And here's the thing about it. I was over there in the Budweiser deck, and I didn't even know it happened. The whole thing happened. I saw a bunch of people yelling, and by the time I got to the front of the line and I saw what was going on, I looked, and the guy was already on the ground, tased and whatever, so I missed the whole thing. So shout out to Jimmy for being aware of pulling out that phone, because that takes some gumption there, Jim.
Yeah,
Not a lot of people have that in them.
Because the guy came in from the third base, foul pole, deep down the line, and I saw him on the ground because he jumped down and he fell and his hat fell off.
Yeah.
And I was just for some reason looking down that way, and I saw him on the ground. I was like, did someone fall out of the stands? And then he got up and started running, and I was like, oh, here we go. And I tapped Casey. I'm like, look, streaker. And that made people mad too, calling it a streaker. But
that's crazy.
I don't understand.
That's the dumbest argument.
What else am I
We'll
going
get
to
to
call
that in a second, but Jimmy, I do have something for you.
What do you have?
We have an updated Chatterbox all-time intern power rankings list. And because you went viral, it's a short list because number 1, Jimmy Collins.
Wow.
Jimmy Collins surpassing Jacob.
That's brutal.
Jeremiah, Lindsay, all the interns that we've had throughout the years. Congratulations, Jimmy.
I'm honored.
Let's go, Jim.
Thank you.
Let's go, Jim.
Thank you.
But is that a streaker?
No. Well, no. Yeah, it is. Yeah, the people who saying it's not a streaker because they didn't whip off their shirt and pants, that's silly. Listen, they used to do it. And that's fine. But we've evolved as a society where when you run on the field to disrupt a game, you can just keep your clothes on, and they'll tase you anyway. That's the best part of streaking. So I don't need to hear any of those stupid arguments. And people were sending the dictionary definition of a streaker to our tweet last night. I'm like, what are we doing? The guy streaked across the field. He tried to give a high five to Freeman out in center field. It was very, very funny. And that guy, I'm a fan of. We have his name. I don't know if we're allowed to. I don't know what the rules are.
We're trying to get him on the show in the near future, so we're working on that.
I love him. I love him. There was a bunch of grumpy people that said, "Oh, you're ruining the sport. You're wasting everybody's time." Nah, that was what the Reds' offense needed last night, and it almost sparked a rally. It almost did. They almost came back because of that guy solely. So shout out to that guy. I think he's 19 years old. He's
Bomber.
He's a St. X legend. So listen, that guy's great. But yeah, Reds.
It's not about the clothes worn or not worn when you streak.
Yeah.
It's about the tased you tased along the tase.
That's what they've been
That's
saying
what they
for
say.
years.
That's
So,
what they say.
We need to go back to the good old days when they would show the streakers, the field stormers on TV.
That
Taking
was
away the broadcast angle of streakers and field stormers is the biggest fumble of all time.
when it's objectively hilarious watching a football game when there's a streaker.
Yeah.
Because it's just zoomed in on the quarterback and he's just like. And then there's the broadcaster's just like, oh, and someone's on the field.
I think it's Kevin Harlan who does NFL radio. I'm pretty sure it might be a different broadcaster, but whenever there's a streaker on the radio, he narrates it like it's a football play. He's going to the 30, to the 40. He's taking off his pants. That's what we need too. Broadcasters need to just have fun with it. They're going to streak. I would agree with Jacob. I think you should show them.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't. I guess
It's incentivizing it.
legal reasons or whatever, or incentivizing it.
Yeah, right.
Whatever it is.
Because now people will do it to get on national
but
television.
But shouldn't we do that? Shouldn't we incentivize it?
It's fun.
It's a whole lot of fun for
Make
everyone.
make
It's
baseball
for the
fun
whole
again.
family.
It's a fair trade, right? Like, I get a misdemeanor, and I also get to be on TV for 10 seconds.
Right.
Like, that's a fair trade.
You would
You added the
think.
pitch clock to slow down or speed up the game. Get the streakers back in, slow it down a little bit.
I agree.
Get back to the middle ground.
So
What, have you guys ever seen the streaker from the 80s that would go out there and kiss the ball player? She was a woman.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, she did it multiple times. She would run on the field and go kiss ball players.
That's electric.
I got to
nice.
figure out what her name was.
Wait,
Now
so
that's assault. We don't condone assault, but saying that, it would be very funny if we brought that back.
so what should I have called it then if I didn't call it a
I
streak?
think field stormer is technically correct.
Yeah.
But I feel like
That's
if it's a
not nearly
field,
as fun.
but I feel like if it's a field storming, there have to be like multiple people. You know?
I got one for you.
More.
Pitch invader.
Oh.
We're not bringing
Put 'em
soccer.
on
We're not bringing soccer into this though. You know?
Oh, the guy got a felony, by the way.
Oh,
Really?
That's not a fair trade.
I don't.
I would not storm the field.
What did they give him? Did it count for an assault?
I don't think that's felonious activity. I don't think that's a felonious activity.
I think I agree. And
By
I
the
don't
way-
know what felonious means.
By the way, the girl that used to storm the field, her name was Morgiana. She was known as the Kissing Bandit. She kissed Nolan Ryan, Pete Rose, Johnny Bench, Steve Garvey, Lynn Barker, Cal Ripken Jr., and George Brett.
That's a hell of a
Twice.
list.
Wow.
Going for the Hall of Famers, minus Pete.
George Brett twice. What a lucky man.
Well, it made up for Pete not getting in,
Yeah,
so
that's
she
fair.
kissed a Hall of Famer twice.
I see.
fair.
Yeah.
I see. But it was cool. It was cool. Whenever you get to see something like that, it's a fun time at the ballpark.
It was
And-
awesome.
What did you say?
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was. It was about the only fun thing I saw in that game. So
Yeah, especially because people were kind of starting to leave the game because they
Yeah.
were down 5-2, and I mean Casey and I were only staying because just like what if?
What's the
Stewart
rule?
got it on base.
Grand slam range? Slam range?
if you're in double slam range,
Oh, it's double 8
Double
runs?
slam range?
double slam
No
range.
way.
Slam plus a bloop and a blast. So if you're down
Six.
if you're down 6, I'm still locked in.
Double slam range is still a possibility.
Do you turn off the
But with-
TV beyond slam range?
No.
I don't turn off the TV if I'm watching a Red. We'd be down 10 zip. I'm probably watching the Red.
Oh,
Sox.
I
I
see,
turn it
TV's
off
different.
down. I turn it off down 6. Like it's like
TV's
I'm over this. And then if I get the push notifications that we're getting back into it, I'm like, all right, let's turn
back.
this on.
But if I start getting the push notifications that we're getting back into it after I
can't
turn it
turn it
off, you can't turn it back on.
Jinxes don't exist.
Yes, they do.
That's fat. I'm with Jimmy here.
I'm with Jimmy too.
Jinxes don't exist, but I'm starting to believe in curses.
Because Casey yesterday, he's like, oh, if the Reds find a way to win, we got to videotape our reaction. And I was like, I'm not videotaping the at bat because then he's just gonna strike out.
Immediately, Friedel bloops it out into the center
Yeah.
field.
Bloops it out. It's 105 miles off the bat.
It was a well.
We're back. Hey, sorry. Sometimes a new studio setup and
Still a new look.
right, just like my shirt, a lot of wrinkles we gotta iron out.
I think your shirt looks great. Listen,
Thanks.
and here's the thing. Computers crash sometimes. That's the story of the show. But you know what? And by the way, welcome to ESPN 1410 radio. If you're listening on your car or radio as well, listen. You're not going to know anything. You're not going to know any different thing that happened.
Blissfully unaware.
But you're going to be unaware of what just happened. But there were some technical issues that happened in our studio. #Spectrum. But as we fight through those issues, we want you to know we appreciate you and all the YouTube listeners as well. We just finished up our segment talking with Jimmy and his viral moment. Jim, are you a changed man after your viral moment?
Absolutely.
Is it going to be like a different behavior out of you? Because you're kind of a quiet guy.
He walked in with a glow.
Here's
Shoulders
what
back a little bit.
A little
this morning.
pompous, if I may. It was a little. It was
Not smug. Not
smug at all.
Not smug,
Okay,
but
fair.
a little pompous.
a little pompous.
I mean, people dream of blowing up on social media. It wasn't directly me who blew up on social media, but I was the reason for the video blowing up. The video wouldn't be a thing without me.
All-time company
So-
company man move by Jimmy posting that from the Chatterbox account because Jimmy_C77 could have been really big time.
really big time.
You could have tagged yourself in the video.
I know. I didn't even think about that
Would it
until
have blown
Elliot
up?
reminded me. Imagine if you did it, you'd have 10,000 followers, and then I got
correct.
upset.
Would it have
That's the
blown
part.
up on his own account, though?
No, definitely not. I don't think so.
I think it would have. Because I would have given it a retweet.
It was the first
Everybody would have
video
retweeted
on Twitter of
it.
the
You would
streak.
have gotten a lot of followers from it. That's for sure.
I'm going to tell myself that it wouldn't have, so I don't have
That's
to think
fair.
about potentially.
Fair. Good spin zone. Professional.
That is a good spin zone.
Yeah.
Professional.
Listen, it was a great tweet. It was a great tweet. You're a company man for not putting it on your own thing. I think we all want to put it on our own thing, but we are selfish. Jimmy's selfless. That's why he's Chatterbox's #1 intern all time.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
You've brought more to this company than I have, Jim. That's on you, baby.
Well,
That's all you. That's
Thanks.
Jimmy Clicks.
I was pretty happy last night. It took me a while to fall asleep.
That's good.
I'm going to be honest.
All right,
That's what we want.
Let's do some headlines.
let's figure out what's going on in the worldwide of sports.
Yeah, if you missed yesterday's game, good for you. The Reds lost. It was terrible. Nick Martinez didn't have it at all. I think it was his worst pseudo start. I think it was the worst outing he's had coming after a opener. Somebody could fact check me on that. But 1 2/3 innings, 4 hits, a walk, 3 earned runs on 39 pitches. It was evident that he didn't have it. Fernando, Cruz, and Buck Farmer really didn't help the cause either. Yeah, they each gave up a run. The Reds' offense had chances, couldn't capitalize. Tyler Freeman, center fielder for the Guardians, robbed several massive hits in that first inning. That was preposterous. We were sitting down, and all of a sudden, the first one was okay. It was kind of a more routine catch. Still probably may have gone out.
Right after that, you said, this only happens to us.
I said this only happens to us on a play like that. And then immediately following, Jake Fraley hits, and this is when your guy, Jacob, was slandering Jake Fraley for only hitting singles. And immediately the ball goes in the air. And I thought it was a routine pop-out,
I
if
didn't
I'm
even
going to be
think it was
honest.
going to get to the warning track.
And it keeps going and going and going. And all of a sudden we're like, all right, this is gone. No. Tyler Freeman jumps up and he robs a home run and ruins my night. But
If you looked in the Discord, someone put a live plate appearance bet on Jake Fraley to hit a home run.
Yeah,
Really?
Wow.
I would have cried. I probably would have cried.
That at bat, I think it was like 30-1 or
Oh,
something like
no.
that.
Yeah.
That's tough.
oh no.
Tough sled.
Candelario and Fraley did each hit a double though. Nick Lodolo is rocking a 2.9 ERA, going up against Tanner Bibee with a 3.73 ERA. First pitch, 7:10 tonight. As we mentioned, it is Elly De La Cruz bobblehead night, so if you want to get down there, if you want an Elly De La Cruz bobblehead, make sure you're one of the first 15K. And really, it means you want to be one of the first 8K, because the first 8K are going to take 5 each.
What do we think about the people walking out of there with arms full of like
You're
5,
you're
6
scum. You're a
bottles?
It's not a one per.
No.
Well, they
it's-
go put them at their seat, and they go back
come
and
back.
get another, and then they stack them up, and you give 2 to the kid that
Oh, yeah.
doesn't even want them, and the dad sends his daughter to grab 2 more. Like, it's scumbag.
It's a scumbag move.
I've been to maybe 100 baseball games plus. I've never gotten a bobblehead.
Really?
Yeah.
I've got a few.
I've never been when
Really?
they do bobble. Like, it was never a point like, hey, they're giving away these bobbleheads, and it wasn't a Reds fan growing up. It's like, hey, Dad, I need the King Griffey Jr., I need the Donkey Adam Dunn bobblehead. And also, we very rarely showed up before the first pitch.
My dad's the type of guy, they gave out like a $2 sun hat as a promo for one of those. And he's like, we got to get in there. We got to get there 2 hours early. It's free stuff. They're giving away free things. So I'm like, Dad, please don't make me go down 2.5 hours early for this stupid hat. And I still have the hat, so I guess credit to my dad. He wants to go down there. I think all that stuff's kind of silly in general. I like bobbleheads. I really do. I think they're cool. Yeah. If you collect them, if you make it a point to collect them.
Yeah.
That's why I used to collect ticket stubs before they became irrelevant, and then it's just like now you can't even do it. But I think people who collect stuff like that, that's cool. But if you just go down there and you're like, we need to get there 4 hours early just for the bobblehead, and then the game doesn't matter at all, that's kind of weird to me. But to each their own. Everybody has their own things. Around the league, the Orioles, they shut out the Braves 4-0. Max Fried got roughed up a little bit in that one. Nationals, they beat the Tigers 5-4 in 10 innings. The Cubs, they blew a 9th inning lead to the Rays last night. Brandon Lowe hit a game-ending 3-run homer to cap off a 4-run 9th, 5-2 the final.
It was very funny. I'm sitting on my dad's porch. He lives right down the street from here. And he was listening to Tommy Thrall.
Yep.
I was listening to Pat Hughes. He was listening to the Reds game. I was listening to the Cubs game. I was sitting there having a beer and talking. And right in the middle of things, I just started screaming. And he's like, well, you're an idiot. you're an absolute idiot. And for about 5 minutes, I was incredibly angry. But just what does it matter anymore? What does it matter?
Listen, we live in misery together, Reed. Except you have a World Series in the last 10 years. So
that's coming close to not being 10 years, which is crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Marlins, they beat the Mets 4-2. 2 wins in their last 8 games for Miami. Good for them. The Phillies, 4-1 win over the Red Sox. Bad news, though, there. JT Realmuto is having surgery for a knee injury. So I don't know how long he'll be out. Perhaps season ending. We don't know. Rockies, they win 5-4 over the Twins. Pirates, 2-1 over the Cardinals. All 3 of those runs came in the 9th inning. 2 by the Pirates, 1 by the Cardinals in the bottom half. Paul Skeens went 6 1/3, allowing 5 hits while striking out 8. He left the game to a standing ovation by the Cardinals faithful. Are we a fan of that?
Is he from that area?
I don't know.
Why did he get a standing O from the St. Louis
I think
Cardinals?
they were just fans respecting good baseball. I think that's what that was.
Like if he's from that area, that makes sense. He's from California, so yeah. So no. That doesn't make a
That doesn't
link.
make sense at all. That doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah. I don't think I'm giving a standing O for Shohei Ohtani hitting 3 home runs and striking out 12 on the mound. Like that, we're just not doing that.
Lions fans booed their quarterback that suffered through pain and misery for 15 years.
Absolutely.
When they faced him in the playoffs.
I think that was one of the greatest sports town moves of all time.
Yeah.
We have the Cardinals applauding an opposing pitcher. I don't know. That's weird. But
Could you create a scenario in which Reds fans would cheer for the opposing player?
I'm going to say something that it's not going to happen. When Elly signs, if Elly signs a massive contract with the Dodgers or something.
What a horrible way to start this Wednesday.
I would definitely cheer for him.
What a horrible way to start this Wednesday.
Like if he leaves Cincinnati, I'll still cheer for him.
Okay, what about a player that has nothing to do with the organization whatsoever?
Like there's no reason to.
Like has never played. Like I'm trying to craft one where like he went to UC and went to a local high school and he's just an area kid.
Every time Ian Happ hits a home run, everyone boos.
But it's like, Kyle Schwarber.
The only thing I can think of is if the Reds were so bad and out of contention that the 8,000 people there were just fed up and Mike Trout just hit a 4 home run game. That's the only scenario where something like that can happen.
I've got one.
Came back and pitched well. I would consider giving him a little standing.
But again,
that's organizational.
Local kid throwing a no-hitter at GABP for the opposing team. I think people would give him a standing O if it was broken up like in the 8th inning. I think they would give him an O
if the game was either out of reach or very close.
Right. I don't think that would happen. Like I don't think Reds fans are giving a standing O for like a perfect game getting broken up or a no hitter. It'd have to be like a St. X Moeller, Mason kid that went to UC or something like that, and he was throwing a perfect game and it got broken up in the 8th inning. I think they'd give him a standing O then. That's the only scenario.
I agree. That's pretty crazy.
It has to be some connection to the city.
A milestone too. What about like a 500th home run?
Yeah.
Getting hit at GABP.
People are baseball. You're just a fan of baseball.
Okay. Yeah. If somebody throws a perfect game, I think everybody would applaud.
But if it's like a huge end of the season thing, like your season's on the line, I'm booing.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like if Luis Castillo came in.
Like Roy Halladay throwing a no-hitter in the playoffs. I don't think anyone cheered for that.
No.
Was that at GABP?
Yeah. No, was it?
That was in Philly.
Oh, was it in Philly?
That was in Philly.
Sammy Sosa hit his 500th home run of his career in like the 6th ever game at Great American Ballpark, which is a neat little fact. The fun thing is the broadcaster of the game said, "Welcome to Cooperstown, Sammy Sosa."
Not quite. Not quite.
So close.
He almost had it. Blue Jays, they shut out the Brewers 3-0. The Brewers have scored 3 or less runs in 6 of their last 8 games. That offense has gone asleep. Yankees, they eviscerate the Royals 10-1. Aaron Judge hit his MLB's best 25th home run into deep center field, into a fountain. I guess I do like that.
Good for Judge.
I never got to experience Kansas City. I think they're closing that ballpark. I'm pretty sure.
I don't think it's been announced yet.
Oh, they haven't.
It's rumored. Part of it was that tax levy that they put that they're going to make renovations to Arrowhead and then put a downtown stadium for the Royals. That's low key one of the older stadiums in the league. I think it was built in the '60s. Like I think it's like the 4th.
Really?
oldest
Yeah,
stadium in the
it's
league.
old. Yeah.
Yeah.
Preposterous jumbotron.
It's cool.
I think it's cool.
Have you
It's
driven
very
by?
cool. Yeah.
It's
Very
it's
cool.
cool as hell.
I think it's cool.
Continuing on here, Fernando Tatis, he extended his hit streak to 17. Padres walked off the Athletics last night with a walk-off homer, 4-3 over Oakland. Shout out to the Oakland A's. They're there too this season. Mariners, they beat the White Sox 4-3. White Sox led 3-1, and they lost it again. The White Sox, man, that would be brutal. I can't imagine a worse season to be a fan of a team than what's going on there. Because at least in the NBA and the Pistons are so bad, at least you look at it and you're like, you know what, we're just having fun. It's a little basketball. Can we get to 30 in a row losses? We don't know. Find out. And that's kind of like a little silly. But the White Sox, there's just nothing. No hope, nothing.
We talked about this last week. I don't think it was on air. What point do you start rooting for losses if you're a White Sox
They're
fan
there.
To try to break the record? I think you're close.
They're there. They're there.
They're
You're
not
not
going to
com-
break that record. You don't think?
Modern record's like 24.
I saw a stat last night that like in game 121 and I think 2021, they had just reached 50 losses, and they're at 50 losses in like game 67 or something.
Really?
Ridiculous. Yeah.
The 2003 Detroit Tigers went 43 and 119.
No, I mean consecutive losses in a row.
Oh,
Losing streak.
Because it's like 22 or 23 modern record.
okay. So they're at 3 right now because they broke it a couple days ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, they did. Okay.
Yeah, they won a couple days ago. They won like 2.
Oh, yeah, they split with the Red Sox.
Yeah.
That's right.
The Red Sox, the most 500 team in baseball.
The Red Sox are wild because you're right. Like they're never terrible.
Yeah.
But they just sit right in the middle of the pack until just out of nowhere they're the most dominant team you've ever seen.
Right.
I think the 2018 Boston Red Sox.
Oh, that team was incredible.
I think that's the most dominant team of this century. I truly believe that.
I can agree with that.
They were absolutely unstoppable. And in the postseason, it carried on. And then, like, 2 years later, they were just nothing.
It's unfortunate.
With young players.
Did
They
Johnny
did it with-
Gomes make that team? Was Johnny Gomes on that team?
No.
He was on one of the earlier ones then.
He might have been on the 2013.
2013 is probably what he was on. Johnny Gomes. That's a
The
Reds
2018
legend.
team was like one of the best outfields ever with Betts. Was it Jackie Bradley Jr. and Benintendi?
Benintendi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, then Benny Biceps stinks now.
Yeah, but he was good last year. He got to the White Sox, and
They
He's
White
the-
Soxed him.
They won
Yeah.
they won 108 games. They won 108 and 54, and their team was very young. Devers 21, Benintendi 23, Mookie Betts 25, Xander Bogaerts 25, and their team just hasn't been good since.
that's fine. Listen, I think the Red Sox is up there. I think the Dodgers this year is going to make a wrinkle in that. I think the Dodgers are pretty damn good. So,
They gotta
saying
win
that,
it.
they got to win. Astros beat the Giants 3-1. The Dodgers destroyed the Rangers 15-2 last night. They had a 4-homer inning. Ohtani, Freeman, Hernandez, and your guy Hayward all went yard in the 6th inning.
We can get as mad as we want at the Los Angeles Dodgers for spending $1 billion, but it's so frustrating that everything works.
Yeah.
They get
the
Jason
worst.
Hayward, who was terrible for the Cubs. I mean, he had a heck of a speech 8 years ago, but had a $150 million speaking fee. He goes to L.A., and he's a good outfielder. Now he's struggling this year a little bit. Max Muncy was nothing before he became a Los Angeles Dodger, hitting 40 home runs. Like, everything works. They always have some young guy that's competing for the Rookie of the Year. Like, the Dodgers make no sense. Absolutely no sense.
They also make trades that don't matter because they hit on the, like they trade Yordan Alvarez for a pitcher you never even see and it doesn't matter, and they trade O'Neal Cruz for someone that doesn't make it out of their minor leagues and it doesn't matter just because they can make all these signings and eat losses and they hit more often than they don't.
And speaking of trades, they just got Kevin Biggio.
Right.
How about that? NBA news. Celtics, they travel to Dallas for Game 3 tonight. Nobody knows what's going on with Kristaps Porzingis. I don't know if you read that injury stuff. Didn't understand it at all. I don't know what kind of words they were using. Jacob might have seen
The
it.
two words in there that were easiest to understand were Kristaps and Porzingis.
Correct. It's nonsensical. Nobody knows if that guy's playing. Luka, his knee needs to be injected to keep him available for tonight.
We know about injections.
That's all we
You
do.
could probably just eat a burger.
That's right. Somehow the Mavericks are 2.5-point favorites. That might just be a trap game where you're just like, all right, I'll bet Mavericks because that makes no sense whatsoever. The Mavericks being favored, but go ahead, each of your own. And Jerry West, unfortunately, the great Jerry West has passed away this morning, and that is very sad.
The logo.
The NBA community.
The logo. Jerry West. Also, he was fighting a court battle till he died with the HBO.
Was he really?
Oh yeah, defamation.
Oh my God.
They made him. You guys haven't seen that show?
You were talking about it, but
I love that show. They made Jerry West look really bad, really bad.
I'll have to give it a watch.
I'll have to give it a watch.
Maybe
as
not
well.
now, out of respect for Jerry.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't watch it now.
Right. They make every person in that show look cool other than Jerry West.
He wouldn't have wanted me to watch it.
No. Will they? I know it'd be in poor taste now, but will they ever change the logo of the NBA? Will they ever go to Jordan or LeBron?
I think if they didn't go to Kobe after Kobe passed, they're never going to change it. I think that was the easiest switch. You could have made it.
Yeah.
Everyone would have been happy. If you go to either Jordan or LeBron, the other side will be so mad.
Yeah.
Okay, so I told you guys this answer before we went live. Let's see if you retain that information. For $5, who is Major League Baseball's
Buzzer. Harmon Killebrew.
Harmon Killebrew? You remembered. Harmon Killebrew is MLB logos. What a random person to be the MLB logo.
I wonder how much money he got royalty-wise. You think there's any royalties that come with being the logo, or is that just a respect thing?
I don't know. Well, I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. Hit 500 home runs.
That's fair. That's it. We're going to talk about the Reds and more coming up next. And Joe Burrow. Is Joe Burrow getting a little depressed? I don't know what's going on there. A little football mortality, as it were. But saying that, ESPN 1410, if you're listening in your car radio, we'll be right back. And welcome back into Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. What a beautiful, glorious morning in Hamilton, Ohio.
It is beautiful.
It is beautiful. It was a great morning. It was a little cool this morning. It's supposed to get up to like 95 at some point this weekend, I think. But right now it feels great. Anytime we're in the 65, 70 range, that's my money zone. Anything outside of that, too hot. Too hot. But saying that, the Cincinnati Reds played a game last night. For those of you who missed it, it was just, again, I hate to say it's just one of those throwaway games. You have to win tonight, I'd like to think. I'd like to at least say that right now. But it's just one of those games that I don't really care about. And that's unfortunate to say, but it's a game against the Guardians. The Reds don't play well against the Guardians ever. In fact, I don't remember a time when they did play well against the Guardians. I think it was opening day against the Guardians a couple years ago, or whenever that was. And they looked horrible then, opening night, something. It was one of the first couple series. And they just don't look good. I don't know what it is. The Reds somehow do always get to Class A. I feel like that happens more times than not. They're always losing going into the ninth. Class A comes in, and the Reds usually at least make it a little close, make it a little interesting.
I knew he was having a great year, but when .5 ERA flashed up on the board,
nuts.
that's insane.
That's nuts.
That's one of the coolest things about interleague play. Like, we all get ready for the big starting pitchers or the big boppers, but you forget about the closers till they come in. You're like, oh yeah, they got this guy.
Yeah.
They got Class A's throwing 103-mile-an-hour cutters.
To Blake Dunn's head.
Yeah.
It's just good luck, brother.
Yeah, no, I mean,
to Blake Dunn's
I know
head.
you said we feel like we need to win this game, and avoiding sweeps is obviously crucial. But in a 2-game series against a team in the American League, losing this game, if we can, law of averages, if this means we can beat the Brewers and beat the Pirates, I'll take the loss tonight.
Sure, in a hypothetical world, yeah, I'd take that as well. I'd make that trade any day of the week. But saying that, I want to avoid the losing streaks.
I agree.
We had all of it last year. I know we talked about the 12-game one, but you had several 5-game winning streaks, several 4-game winning streaks, and then the Reds met those consistently, constantly, with a 4-game losing streak of their own, just to get that back to 500. Stop the pendulum from swinging. Just stop it in its tracks, and hopefully you just sprinkle a couple wins in there. You can play 500 ball now for a while, up until towards the end of the season. So if you're able to play 500 ball, get through this stretch of the schedule where you're just playing divisional teams, the Reds are fine. The Reds are absolutely fine unless you meet your 7-game winning streak that you just had with a 7-game losing streak, and then all progress has been lost, and I'd be a very sad person. But saying all that, they look better. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Offensively, they look more consistent. They look better at the plate than they did a month and a half ago. I know they didn't have a ton of hits last night. I think only 6 hits. And many of those came, or at least half of those came towards the end of the game. But it's one of those things where if the Reds are able to just look good in losses, I'm okay with it. They didn't look great last night. I'd argue they weren't set up for great success when it's a bullpen game. Anyway,
they have been very good in bullpen games.
They have been. They have been. But it's still one of those things where you go in thinking, all right, just try to stay alive towards the 9th inning, and we'll see what we can do. And that's what I felt coming into it. I thought there was opportunities against McKenzie last night that the Reds didn't capitalize on. And there was some bad luck involved with getting robbed of home runs left and right by Tyler Freeman. But saying that, I'm not going to look at this game in the near future and say, you know what, that's one we needed to have. It was just a game against the Guardians that didn't go our way. I don't know if there's too much to analyze about this game other than the fact that the relievers, the relief pitching, at some point, I would like the back end of that bullpen, those 8th and 9th innings, to go smoothly. And I still feel like it's been a little bit of a struggle as of late. And I don't know if I have the numbers to back it up, but I do think there's base runners constantly on when we get to those 8th and 9th innings that otherwise wouldn't be in the 6th and 7th. I feel like we're the best 6th and 7th relief pitching-wise in Major League Baseball. That's a stat that, again, fact-checking-wise, I would probably lose on that every single time. But that's at least like when I watch the game. That's like what I perceive.
It feels like it.
It feels like those 8th and 9th innings. It's just not fun anymore. I feel like we're giving up base runners left and right. That's the only thing I really took away.
Your whip, other than Alexis Diaz, is pretty league average. I mean, Lucas Sims is a bit above league average, but I mean, sitting in the 1.1s, 1.2, 1.3. Like that's what you normally get from relievers. The one thing that's interesting enough is, and this is, I guess, credit to the Guardians for flying under the radar. So they have the 3rd best record in Major League Baseball right now.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, the Reds lost to them yesterday.
Yeah.
And if you lost a game like that to the Dodgers or the Braves or the Yankees or one of these elite teams, you wouldn't think much of it. You're like, that team's just better than us. But it feels like there was something there, like to where, like, hey, look, we got to take a game from the Guardians tonight, even though they're 20 games over 500,
which is nuts,
in the middle of June.
We're walking out of the stadium, and I asked Jimmy, obviously he's a fan of team in that division, I was like, what are the Guardians, like 10 games above 500? No, they're 20 games.
21. They're 43 and 22.
I mean, obviously Jose Ramirez is a great player, but the rest of that roster, I mean, Stephen Kwan's hitting like 380 right now.
Yeah.
It's insane how good that roster. The Naylor brothers are playing great. Josh Naylor hit one pretty far last night off Fernando Cruz. So, I mean, the Guardians are sneaky. They're a sneaky roster. They remind me a lot of the Brewers. It's just names that you don't love, and they just always win.
They're almost the exact same team, small market team that constantly has good pitching, constantly is getting the most out of hitters that you haven't heard of before, and then they've got one generational talent, Christian Yelich, Jose Ramirez, to kind of keep it all together.
Yeah.
They were,
back end of the bullpen is phenomenal for both teams.
They've had fantastic managers over the past decade between Tito and Greg Counsell, but obviously that era is kind of gone by the wayside. They're a team that don't make a whole lot of sense. Like we always talk about the Rays being the gold standard for small market baseball teams in Major League Baseball. Yeah. We need to give more credit to teams like the Brewers and the Guardians. And I think they do get some credit, but we always go like, well, the Rays win a lot. We never say, oh, the Guardians win a lot, or hey, the Brewers win a lot. They deserve more credit as a franchise.
Yeah, I agree, and they're doing it all without Shane Bieber, who was the best player on that roster probably coming into this year, and he's on the IL, and they're still 20 games above 500.
Kyle Manzardo, Gabriel Arias, Daniel Schneemann, Brian Rocchio, and Bo Naylor. That's how they end their lineup, and they're 21 games above 500. That is crazy. It's a testament to how good that we talk about coaching doesn't matter. I do, at least. That whoever's the pitching coaches over there in Cleveland, are they the best in the game? Because they do everything right. Those pitchers, they made Ben Lively look like a Cy Young winner this year. That's how good their pitching staff is.
Well,
I'm
I'm looking at their lineup. They have 4 hitters with an OPS plus over 100. Now, all 4 of those hitters clear it by miles.
Yeah.
We're talking Josh Naylor with a 124 OPS plus, Jose Ramirez 149. Here's where it gets crazy. Steven Kwan, who's batting 380. 380 has an OPS plus of 184. And David Fry has an OPS plus of 195. He has an OPS
Holy
over
cow.
1.
Yeah, Fry's been incredible.
28-year-old David Fry, who has done very little in his Major League Baseball career to this point, although last year was his rookie year.
Jimmy, my guy, told me he voted for him in the All-Star game.
I did vote for David Fry in the All-Star game, partially because I didn't want to vote for Jordan.
What's his position?
DH.
DH, because he is this year has
DH left field.
he has played the
Catch.
most games at catcher.
Yeah,
Left
he plays
field is the
catcher as
second
well.
most, and then he DHs, and then also can play first base, right field, and third base.
What
He's
a
played
fantasy baseball get he would be.
on my team.
Did you?
Oh yeah.
What
oh
a
yeah.
find.
But it's just he makes absolutely no sense in voting for him to be on the All-Star team is a no-brainer. He should be getting MVP consideration.
Yeah, I don't know how they're doing it, but shout out to the Guardians. I think that whole AL Central that I don't believe in, similarly to the NL Central, it's just somehow really competitive every single year. It's competitive. So
It hasn't been that competitive, top to
I don't
bottom.
know. Top to bottom, it has.
Like this year, it's pretty similar in the NL Central. Not all 5 teams. Obviously, the White Sox are terrible.
White Sox,
but
yeah.
even a Tigers team, if the Tigers rip off 10 of 14 games and they get
Yeah.
right back in the thick of things, that would surprise nobody.
Yeah, if the Tigers.
It's crazy. The Royals are 6 games behind the Guardians.
Yeah.
They are 10 games over 500. Like the Reds are 6 or 7 games behind the Brewers, and they're
Right.
3 games under. Like it's
Yeah.
the AL Central is legit.
I think the worst part of it all is like the Tigers, who like they're not that good, and I'll admit that. But if they were in any other division, they're right around
Besides
second,
the East.
second, third place. Yeah, besides the East,
Right.
They're right around second, third place. Like if they're in the NL Central, they're in second place, and they're not even close.
Shout out to the Royals by
yeah.
I think everyone was surprised that they were kind of going for it this offseason.
Yeah.
I remember last year, this year's the 1-year anniversary of Ricky Karcher, and I remember watching that Chatterbox Red show, and Trace was, at the time, he was absolutely right, was talking about what a godforsaken franchise the Kansas City Royals are, and was laughing at them. Here we're sitting 1 year later, they're 10 games over 500, they probably have the best young star in the game, and they look like they're going to be competitors for years to come. They got a great arm on top of that. The Royals, shout out to them, they're getting it done.
That's
Yeah,
fun. Yeah,
it's
Bobby
frustrating.
Witt's one of the most fun players to watch in the
Oh, yeah.
entire league. 10 triples already, I think, something like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, he's special.
Have I ever
sucks.
told you my Bobby Witt Jr. Radio story?
No.
My brother lives in Wichita, Kansas.
Okay.
So they get Kansas City radio. And we're driving out there to visit him, and it was right around the time, this was before Bobby Witt had come up. So it was right around the time of opening day, his rookie year, so he was going to come up later, similar to what Elly did, like in May or June, whenever he did come up. And they were talking about the expectations for Bobby Witt. And I got irrationally mad at this local radio host because he said, if Bobby Witt doesn't have a better career than Andrew McCutchen, he's a disappointment. And I got so mad because I felt like that was so disrespectful to Andrew McCutchen. Here we are 2 years later, 100% understand it now.
Yeah.
Because that dude has lived up to the billing. And at this point, I think that is maybe not quite fair yet because Andrew McCutchen he's not a Hall of Famer, but he's going to get votes to be in the Hall of Fame, to where that maybe I jumped the gun on getting mad at that proposition.
Top prospect comparisons are always hard because if you're a fan of the team, you want to say a Hall of Famer, a bona fide superstar,
Right.
and if you're not a diehard fan of that team, you're much more rational about what a player would be. I mean, I know last year when Elly came up, we were talking about like he needs to be like Barry Larkin for this version of the Reds, and you thought that was crazy, but for
Yeah.
Reds fans, you need that to happen in order for him to be considered a success.
Jacob and I were doing hypotheticals last night. Like if you were doing trades for Elly De La Cruz, how many names would warrant a trade?
So-
and we got to, I think it was Gunnar Henderson,
And Bobby
Witt.
Because age and contract.
Dude,
all
I was
come
gonna
into
say,
play
are
as
we
well.
taking age and
Yeah.
contract into
Yes.
consideration?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Because I was
Okay.
gonna say, like, obviously I would still do it for Shohei in a heartbeat.
Right, but I wouldn't do not with the contract.
Right now, with the not owing $698 million, whatever's owed after
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
season, not doing that. Yeah, it's a very, very short list. It is names like Gunnar Henderson. It is Bobby Witt Jr. Acuna has a great contract, but he's
ACLs.
injury. He's injury prone. to where before the year it would have been Acuna. That's a no-brainer.
For sure.
I mean, off the top of my head, I don't know if there's anybody else.
Right. Basically, what we got to is that he's a certified top
Judge is
5
too old.
pick.
Judge
Yeah.
is too old and gets paid too much.
Right.
Like, yeah, Juan Soto maybe.
Juan Soto,
Juan
maybe.
Soto,
Soto
maybe.
for-
It depends
yeah.
on this contract that he's about to sign.
But the thing is Juan Soto will be a designated hitter very soon.
Right.
He would be a designated hitter already
If they didn't have Stan.
if they didn't have Stan. He would be their DH to where you're losing so much value there. And I think we underrate how valuable defense is and things like that. Like Juan Soto might be the best hitter on the planet, like just straight up hitter, but he doesn't do anything else. So
It's fair.
the list is Gunnar Henderson, Bobby Witt, and probably that's it.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just one of those things, that, and I'm grateful for it too. It's like one of those. It's like having Elly De La Cruz be a Red is something I've never experienced in my life ever. And by the way, I didn't even mention this in the headlines. Noelvi Marte, our guy, our sweet juice boy,
Our guy.
He went 2 for 5 last night. 2 for 4, 2 for 5, 2 for 5, I believe. 2 for 5. He had a double in there. Both hits were over 100 miles an hour.
3 of his 4 batted balls were hard hit.
It was, I'll tell you what, if Noelvi Marte can light a spark in this offense even further, we might just catch fire here in Cincinnati. I think there's a chance you move Jameer over to first base or DH even would be better. And you have Noelvi at third base or shortstop. It's hard for me to see Noelvi Marte playing shortstop, right?
Oh, I think Elly will still play shortstop 99% of the time, but this
Yeah.
gives you the ability to DH him, to give him a pseudo off day, maybe give him some more days off, because he's only had, 1 day off so far this year?
Yeah.
And it's because you don't have another viable option at shortstop. So being able to play Candy back at third, Noelvi at short, and then give Elly some days off in the lineup, I think will help Elly out a lot.
Yeah, I think so too. And listen, we're going to talk about that and a little bit more next on ESPN 1410 Wing AM. We are off the bench. We are Ohio. Go to break. Welcome back in. We are off the bench.
We are Ohio.
We are Ohio. Presented by United Dairy Farmers. Thank you for listening on your car and or radio. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Did I say that?
Yeah.
On your car.
Right,
You're
if you're
just
watching
sitting on that car
top,
with
just
your
on
headphones.
top of it, and you're just like, that's
Yeah,
what you
it's
listen.
like
That's
a
what you
drive-in
listen.
movie for the radio. It's like
Right.
you're going to be on your
Oh,
car,
good,
on the
okay.
top of it.
That
Right,
works.
right on the hood.
I got to keep the Fox Sports, the old Fox Sports Ohio jingle alive, because if I don't do it, nobody else will.
It will fade into
We are.
oblivion. You're keeping
We
that
are
memory
Fox
alive.
Sports.
Didn't Fox Sports Ohio get votes this year for best
They
local
did.
sports radio?
They did.
Best
I
local
got in
sports-
trouble for bringing that up when that happened on the show.
Did you really?
I don't know. We were making fun of the best of the Cincinnati,
Yes, right.
and they said best sports coverage in the area, and they said Fox Sports Ohio, which
Hasn't existed for years.
hasn't been a thing for a couple of years now. What, 4 years, 3 years?
4 years.
Four
I
to
think
5
COVID
years,
season was
I
the
think.
last season.
So, shout out to Fox Sports.
Yeah, no, they're still getting
If
after it.
Elliott doesn't keep the memory of Fox Sports alive, City Beat will. So
City
so
Beat.
thanks to City Beat.
Yeah, I think there were several defunct podcasts that ranked ahead of us as well. Podcasts that
well, we weren't on
no
it.
longer exist.
We weren't on it, and it was like best sports podcast, and one hasn't released an episode since like January of last year. So they released 2 episodes in the calendar year.
Yeah.
That's good. Good for them. Good for them.
I just listen. Here in America, we have things called checks and balances. I don't think City Beat has checks and balances.
Doesn't seem like it.
they're just like throwing it at the wall, like this
No.
podcast. Whatever. We're not bitter. We're not
Not at
bitter
all.
about it.
Yeah, we don't keep that in our journals at night.
We don't
specifically.
change our set every 2 weeks.
To hope City Beat notices.
every time that we changed our set, every time that we change our format, our intro, everything, it's so that we get a little bit of praise from City Beat, and it hasn't worked yet. So I hope you guys aren't used to this setup, because it's going to be gone in 2 weeks. We just got to get some affirmation from City Beat, just a little bit.
You know what? And I hate to change the subject like this, but you know one of my favorite bits we have on this show, and it's not even us. It's not us three. It's Jimmy over there. Every time he goes to a Reds game and Jacob Hurtubise steps up to the plate, he takes off his hat, he waves it around at our guy Jacob Hurtubise. He stands up on his feet and he gives him a little shout out, a little praise.
I did.
It is the best bit we have going.
He's
Nope.
a diehard.
He's a
Hurtubise.
diehard Jacob Hurtubise
Now,
fan.
I did not know that Jimmy did that as a bit, mostly because I haven't been invited to a game yet.
You were invited. To be clear, he
No,
wasn't
it
invited.
wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Casey, did you invite him or not?
I did.
Well,
I
it was-
had a genuine. I had no idea the previous conversation happened, and I genuinely invited you to come along, Reese.
So here's what happened. I made it known that I wasn't invited to the game.
Sure.
And then Casey said, "Hey, do you want to go to the game?"
I didn't hear any of
That's
that
not a
previous
genuine
conversation.
invitation.
I didn't hear any
That's
of
like
that.
that's like texting your friend like, "Hey, when's the wedding?" And he wasn't going to invite you, and he already sent the invitations out. And he goes, "Oh, do you want to come?" That's what happened. I got an "Oh, do you want to come?" And that's not a genuine invitation. I know everyone in the chat agrees with me.
Hey, you want to come to trivia tonight?
I'm busy. I have plans.
Ah, dang.
Dang.
That could have been a magical moment. Help us out.
You know I'm busy on Wednesdays.
That's true. You are. I'll tell you what. I have to come to one of those games.
I want to very bad.
I still have not been, and I would really like to see Reed in action.
There's an ongoing offer that won't do much for Elliot, but I tell my friends this. If you come to the game and you let me know, I will pack a cooler of beer for you and to sit in the stands and just sit there. And a couple of my friends have taken me up on that offer where I've got to get like a sixer and just put it in
That's
the
big
stands.
Do your friends heckle?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
feel.
only coming if you're pitching.
Yeah, that's kind
So
of.
you got to come to a Sunday.
I'll come on a Sunday.
9A?
Not
Ah.
up at 9 a.m. on a Sunday.
See, here's the thing.
9A is tough.
Here's the thing about the adult baseball league that I play in. Everyone talks crap about 9A Sunday games. What else are you doing at 9A on a Sunday?
Sleeping.
It's either sleeping or going to church. So it's not like you have plans.
That's fair.
It's not
I have
like you
church.
Well,
What?
I have church.
Okay.
All
Well,
right,
yeah, I was
all
just-
right. Notre
it
Dame.
actually,
I was
it
gonna
actually
say-
does cause a bit of grief, and I should be going to church.
I was gonna say sleeping or church. One of those things is not like the other. But nonetheless, getting back to baseball, the baseball realm, the Reds game again. I didn't have too much. I watched the entire game. There wasn't too much I took away from it. Just general questions, I guess, for my guy Jacob and/or Reed. How long? And I guess I don't know what the corresponding move would be. How long is Blake Dunn, do you think, going to stay up as a Red?
I think the other option right now is Nick Martini,
Yeah.
right? So I think I prefer Blake Dunn to Nick Martini. I think he's probably one of the first ones out. Probably when Elly comes back, he's out. But I mean, he's 98th percentile, I think, in bat speed right now, and he's in 95th percentile in sprint speed. So he's at least giving you something in the game, and he's been pretty good defensively. I know we only used him as a DH. He started the one game as a left fielder, and he's pinch hit, but he's been serviceable. I think he gives the team more than Nick Martini does.
I think he does too.
And I think he could be an okay bat against left-handed pitching when he comes into his own a little bit.
I don't think the Reds would ever. I don't think they'd send him down right now or anytime soon. I'd rather have Blake Dunn hit .098 or whatever it is, and just try out there, just take some reps.
Yeah.
Over Nick Martini, who I know what I have there, and respectfully, it's not a lot. It's hope he hits a home run against a right-handed pitcher once every 25 games, and what do I have there, really? No defense at all. I think Blake Dunn's style, the style of baseball he plays is, I don't want to use this term, but I'm going to. It's the Cincinnati way. I think it's what Pete Rose did, and it's you play hard. You play baseball hard, and I think Blake Dunn does that. Not to mention, I'm a little biased, he does have AJR as the walk-up song, and I'll continue to say that because he's the only one who's had the gumption, the intestinal fortitude to do that.
Was it Karma?
It was not Karma.
Was it Bang?
It was Burn the House Down.
Oh, that's a good one.
Can
It
you
was a
sing
good
it?
one. It
Can
was
you
a
sing
good
it for
Burn,
us?
Burn the House Down's a good one.
The Red. My issue with it is though the Reds did overuse that song. I forget what season it was. 2021 maybe. They just used that song every single game and they wouldn't stop playing it. But saying that, Blake Dunn, AJR fan for sure.
Nick Martini should only be on the active roster in September in the first 2 weeks of the year.
Yeah.
That's it. He's just a bookend to the season because
Yeah.
he'll give you a magical moment at some
That's
point.
fair. But Blake Dunn already has more at-bats than Connor Capel did. So what we did to Connor Capel is
Connor Capel
a
was
borderline crime.
Yeah, there was
I mean,
injustice there.
We
That
called
was,
him up and had him ride pine for 2.5 months and played 5 games.
What do we think that was about? I still don't fully understand that because even Bubba, our sweet Prince Bubba,
Was pinch running.
World
pinch
Series
running.
champion,
Like
Bubba.
they put him in the game. They get him like, hey Bubba, all right, Bubba, don't even bring a bat. You don't really even need a helmet. Just get to first base in the bottom of the ninth, and we need some help. There was nothing for Connor Capel to do, and I that was one of those moves that's confusing to me. But to each their own. The Reds can do whatever they want.
How do you think Blake Dunn felt this morning when you woke up?
Concussed.
Probably can.
Has to be
It's
concussed,
102 to
right?
the side of the head. What
Yeah.
other option is there?
Gritty player, but he probably wasn't feeling great this
I
morning.
mean, he's got to be seeing.
What happened to retaliation in
Stars.
baseball? What
I know.
happened to
You're
retaliation?
anti-retaliation?
Are you anti-retaliation?
No, I'm a fan of
okay.
retaliation.
I'm pro.
So let me be clear. I'm a retaliation guy if it's very clearly intentional. Clint Hurdle was retaliating over nonsense. So you can't. I'm against Clint Hurdle's style of play, but
So do you want the Reds to retaliate? Because
no, I'm just saying what happened to it. I feel like it's a lost art.
Emmanuel Clase, great pitcher. Blake Dunn, all due respect, nobody. There's no way that was on purpose.
No, correct.
Here's-
And they're trying to win the game.
Right.
It's the bottom of the
Close
ninth.
game, bottom of the ninth with your closer on the mound.
hitting players has always been so weird to me. It's been so weird that your objective is to throw a projectile that can kill a man,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
and I'm going to hurt you. I've always thought that's weird, especially when it's forecasted, like it's told, like the manager, like Clint Hurdle, telling his team, hey, we're going to get this guy.
Yeah.
We're going to get this guy. Especially at the lower levels, like high school, college, a grown adult
Yeah.
looking at the
Yeah.
kid and say, like, hey, you go hurt that other kid. Always thought that was weird. And I think it's weird at the professional level, too. So, no, I'm strongly against retaliation.
Yeah.
Even if they do it on purpose.
Yeah.
When they go low,
We go lower.
I'm more against retaliation, but just funny. I wonder what happened to it. It's a lost art. I did see somebody yesterday read blame. I won't shout them out, but they did blame the
Oh, yeah.
Manfred deflated balls.
Dead balls are why the Reds
The
lost
dead
last
balls
night.
are why the Reds lost. Thoughts on that
There's
excuse?
2 home runs. If Aaron Judge was at the plate, there would have been no home run robberies for the Guardians.
True. If the Reds had Aaron Judge.
so
The
are
Reds
we
had Aaron
woke
Judge's
on this?
balls.
Are we woke on this that the MLB is actively affecting the game every year? Like they're just changing how it's played? Like
I think they picked
Juice balls.
individual matchups. They're like, this game is going to use all the dead balls.
Do you, in hindsight, do you know how
well, but
crazy that would
it's
be?
league
For
wide.
ga- for gambling.
Hitting's
Do you know how
down
insane-
league wide.
For gambling, whichever game has the most over bets, they're going to use the dead balls. And whichever game has the most under bets, they're going to use the inflated balls.
Now that,
Whatever
if we
they
could
did,
find the ball placer in the MLB, we could find some serious cash.
Yeah.
whatever
We should do
they
that. We
did
should do
in
that.
2019, they had the recipe wrong. Because they clearly did something in 2019 where they're like, all right, we're going to get more home runs. I think I'm looking at the Minnesota Twins from 2019. On their roster, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys hit 20 home runs or more, and 7 of those 9 hit 30 home runs or more.
That's insane.
And they clearly cooked. They clearly cooked that
What do you
recipe.
think? What do you think the process is for juicing a baseball? What is that?
I listen, for
Isn't
all the
it a
baseball
humidor
knowledge I
thing?
don't know.
I think you're right.
No,
something
it's
to do with
something
the
about the way the
humidor?
cork and it's wound and it's strung that changes it.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but that's how it's done.
Gotcha.
It's something about how the baseball is actually constructed. At the center of every baseball, I don't know if you unwound one before, but there's like basically like a bouncy ball.
Yeah.
You'll see when we do this batting practice, I unwind baseballs all the time.
Fair enough. Tomorrow, yeah, we're gonna
Reed's
do it.
gonna strike us out.
Yeah, I
Potentially.
Almost certainly.
Potentially strike us out.
Now, I know we were talking about one of us is going to catch. What poor soul are we throwing behind the base?
It's gotta be Jimmy.
What?
I think Jimmy's got to take
It's got to be Jimmy. Some of the issues with being an intern is you have to listen. If we ask you to put on a full catcher's gear,
and take 95 to the middle of your face.
you have to do it, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm very sorry,
95,
Jimmy.
95 is incredibly
That's
generous.
what Reed throws.
I throw 70.
Yeah.
I saw him throw 95.
Okay, I'm totally fine with being the catcher, but I'm like going to be a little further back.
I will
'Cause
catch.
I don't
I
want to
think
be
it
anywhere
would be
close to
fun.
that bat.
I will catch.
I think it would be objectively fun to throw Casey back there.
That would be
That
good.
would be very funny.
That would be good.
But
I have full gear. Like I have my catcher's
We're
gear.
going to have to get a GoPro chest mount for the catcher.
Oh, can we do that? Do we have a GoPro?
We got phones, like company phones, that we could just
We could
tape
just
onto our
tape,
chest.
just shatter company phone.
Well, we don't
goes-
need it. We don't need to tape it. We'll just do whatever Yachty put on his chest
Yeah,
protector.
that's true.
Stick
Casey
it.
goes to block one pass, the camera breaks into 50 pieces.
But yeah, any final thoughts on the Reds as I try to get back to serious sports discourse?
I wish I cared more about the Ohio Cup. I genuinely
Ohio
do,
Cup's so bad.
But I don't care.
It's
You
so
don't
bad.
care
You
about
were
it because you
ranting.
lose. Because you lose.
It's so
let's
worthless.
make that
It's so
incredibly
If we won
worthless.
the Ohio Cup every year, I would have a T-shirt for every Ohio Cup win we had.
100%.
I wouldn't.
It would.
I
Tur-
wouldn't.
well, it would turn into a bit. Like you wouldn't
would. It
actually
would be a
care, but you would. It would turn into a bit similar to like when the Bengals used to not have an indoor facility. We would say like we're tougher. We practice outside.
We wanted an indoor.
We very much wanted an indoor facility, but it gave us a joke, and that's all we're living life for. To be honest, it's not about the wins and losses. It's about the jokes we made along the way.
And Jeremiah in the chat, yes. we have like there's like the New York, the Subway Series. You have the Chicago. Like that's actual rivalries. Like that's like you can actually like forcing a rivalry between a city that's 4.5 hours away, 3 hours. I don't know how far Cleveland is from Cincinnati. 4 hours away. And forcing that like that's your rival. That's your rivals with Cleveland. Nah, not really though. So I think I mean what. Every team in the division is more of a rival, and then
realistically,
we did it
I know
yesterday.
we were
But
doing the bit yesterday, but realistically, I think they're right outside the top 10.
yeah,
Like that's crazy.
Not top 10. They are like the fifth.
Yeah.
Of
They're-
teams I hate.
It's
they're not,
it's-
they're
it's
not my
the
most
def-
hated team in the American
They
League.
play
They're
for
not.
a trophy. Come on.
we asked, and I don't want to spoil that video. We asked, I want to say 15 to 20 people, what is this
Not
trophy?
a soul.
Not a one.
We got
One
one.
guy was very confident. he
we
knew
got
what it
one
was, and you'll
incredible
find out his
answer.
That answer was outrageous.
That was
outrageous.
incredible.
But nonetheless, shout out to the Ohio Cup and all those who care about it. One of the most worthless games we play, series we play all season long. Guardians are no fun
We should
whatsoever.
play every team in the league except the Guardians.
We should. We should
Play
actually
all
do
29
that.
teams.
And then every 10th year we play them in one game, not a series.
A
one
seven
opening
game
day.
a seven
Opening
game
day.
Opening
series.
day
They're-
every decade.
Every decade, then it's a rivalry. Then we're talking about beating the Guardians for the
Imagine
Battle
it's
of Ohio.
2024 and
Oh, yeah.
you lost in 2020 and you say, I got 6 more years till the next Ohio Cup.
What if-
That's see now we're
It's got
talking.
an Olympics kind of pop to it.
It is.
Do you go opening day and then last game of the season? It's a 2-game stretch.
Yes.
That way you can still split it. 'Cause
Yes.
obviously that's what the Ohio Cup's about.
Correct. It's about splits.
Splitting it.
It's
Splitting
about
it is what the
splits
Ohio Cup's about.
because we're all winners in Ohio. That's what it is. We are the Ohio Cup. We are Ohio.
As we wrap up this segment, I want to ask you guys, when do you think interleague play started? When do you think the first
wow.
time that National League teams played American League teams in the regular season? What year?
1975.
1975 is your guess?
I'll go 85. I'll go 10 years later.
1997.
Wow.
Seriously?
Before 1997, the only time they played was the All-Star Game, the World Series, and spring training games.
Is that why the MLB All-Star Game is viewed so highly? You never got to see those players play each other.
That's
until that
exactly
game.
why.
That makes sense.
They were quite literally two separate leagues.
Yeah.
Like that's something that we didn't
Different
have in the
rules.
NBA, NFL. Like they had different rules. They never played each other except for the World Series and the All-Star Game.
When did the divisions go to where they were now? Like where they are now? Because the Reds were in the West for a long time.
So
the Astros
I think it was 93. They only had two divisions. And yeah, the Reds were in the West despite being farther east than like the Cubs and I believe the Cardinals were in the East. But that's why the Reds, for a long time, their biggest rival was the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Because in the 70s, the Dodgers and the Reds were the best teams in the National League West. So yeah, there would only be two teams that would make it from each league into the postseason. Only 4 teams made the postseason until like 1993. Then they made an extra division, and it's been like that ever since.
Wow.
that and more. We're going to get into maybe potentially the Joe Burrow drama. The Joe Burrow drama. Is he retiring?
Is his career over?
We don't know, but you'll know when we get back from break on ESPN 1410 Wing AM, the best sports coverage in the Miami Valley. We are the Miami Valley. We are Ohio. Casey, we are late for a break. We are late for the ads that everybody is waiting for right now.
I just can't wait until Nate Seltzer blows up the chat here with late.
Him and Blackmore.
That's right. Encore Technologies, they provide IT solutions for a data-centered world with a suite of services from mobile computing to desktop to data center, supporting both centralized and work-from-home computing modules to improve efficiency and
productivity.
That's right, Jimmy. Path to innovation begins right here. Visit encore.tech. Got a lovely bottle of water right here. Pawnee water, made right here in Hamilton, Ohio. Uses natural limestone filtration, unlike the artificial processing of the brands used. The result being a healthy alkaline water, and some say the best tasting water in the world. Visit Pawnee Water at PAHHNIwater.com. Let's go back to the radio.
That was quick.
That was quick.
That was expeditious.
It's efficient.
Yes. Efficient. That's
Well,
what I-
that's where we, because of Encore Technologies, we are proving efficiency and productivity.
That's right.
That's true.
It's all right here.
So productive we started the stream twice today.
Correct.
That's right. Shout at us. New setup. It's getting good
Getting
ratings.
good reviews. I'm very happy about the
Getting
reviews.
good ratings. I think we should just mix it up and just bring the desk up here
I
sometimes.
think the setup should change for tomorrow. I don't know how we're going to change it, but the setup should change for tomorrow.
Just tomorrow we have the desk back.
With these chairs.
Or we sit over there. We sit over there now.
All three of us?
Yes.
All three of
Around
us
the
at the
desk?
desk?
You know what I think? I think
it's
you
a good
guys should
idea.
stand and have the green screen behind you change about like different topics that you're talking about.
We're at GABP for the Reds segment. We go
Yeah.
to Paycor for the Bengals segment.
That's right.
I like that.
We haven't used this corner in a while.
No. I got to
Do
do
we need weather back?
We might need a weather report here soon.
It is summer.
It is summer.
I mean, I need to know if I'm wearing pants or
The
shorts.
radio people
Spoiler,
don't even know
it
about.
should be always shorts.
The radio doesn't even know about the weather report. That used to be not only did you used to work for the radio, but you also used to be a weatherman.
So we're on the radio right now, right?
We have not come back
We've
yet.
not come back yet. Do you want me to save that for the radio, or do you want me to do it now?
We can
'Cause
bring it back.
What? Do you want to do it now?
You're the radio man.
You.
All right, 5 seconds of silence. Welcome back to Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. We are Chatterbox Sports. I am Elliot Rearing. That is Reed Mouse. That is Jacob Tissett. That is Jimmy Collins, a.k.a. Jimmy Clicks, a.k.a. Rudy, a.k.a. what's the other ones? I'm forgetting.
Jimbo
some.
Slice.
Jimbo Slice. And that is Casey McAllister. We are here. And by the way, I did all that. You can't see us anyway if you're listening on the radio, so you just have to take our word for it that we are here, present, and accounted for. We were talking about it over this break. We did a weather segment right here on Off the Bench
Back
for
in the
a
day.
while. Now, it is a physical bit. It's a physical joke.
Visual.
Because when I did it, I was usually in a hoodie, and I was also in that $80 jacket that I shouldn't have paid $80 for. But
That's
I went.
the best story ever. Is that you bought this jacket, they rung it up, and you just said, "Well, I'm here. I'm here."
It was so I waited in the line to pay for it for a good 7 minutes, and I got
That's
to.
not a long enough time.
Yeah, but it is when you're at the Burlington Coat Factory, and I was sitting there, and I get to the front, and they're like, they told me the price, and I do the thing where you tap your card on the desk, and you don't make eye contact with the person, you're just tapping your card, thinking about the purchase. All right, and I gave it to him. It was the worst $85 I've ever spent in my entire life.
It's funny because we told you multiple times.
Don't do it. Yeah,
go
yeah.
to Goodwill. Go somewhere. Go to a thrift store. Buy just a cheap coat, sport coat, and you went to Burlington Coat Factory, which isn't expensive, but you still went to like an actual store.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done it. My bad. Anyway, the bit was I do the weather. I might have to bring the weather back. You'll be able to hear it. You won't be able to see the ridiculous outfit I'm in, but
Unless
unless
you come to the YouTube.
unless you come over to the YouTube side. If you get bored with the radio, again, don't Google it while you're in your car or you're listening or whatever, because it could be dangerous
You could
on the
Google
road.
it if you were parked and on your car.
Correct. If you were on your car parked, on the very top of your car parked somewhere, and you're just hanging out, that's when you can Google us on YouTube, and we are Chatterbox Sports on YouTube. You can listen to us live, like right now, from 10 a to 12 p, or you can go back and rewatch us after the show when we go live on 14:10 a.m. But saying all that, we might bring the weather segment back. Speaking of the weather, I'll tell you what, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for Joe Burrow yesterday.
He's going through his emo phase.
He was going through his emo phase. He was saying the injuries were getting to him, and he's going through the mortality phase of football. I think he also talked about how last year he didn't handle the calf injury right. He should have handled it differently. He should have waited longer. He shouldn't have rushed back. And that's been an avid part of this offseason, making sure everything's good to go, not rushing anything, taking care of his body. Did you have any big takeaways from Joe Burrow's sad boy press conference?
Here's the thing: is one of the most mature things you can do as an athlete is realizing that when you're not at your best, you can be detrimental to the team. And I think that's what the takeaway he got from his calf last year. And this is coming from the guy that said, if Joe Burrow is at 50%, I want him playing over Jake Browning. And in hindsight, that was the wrong call. We saw what Jake Browning could do. It's more than serviceable. And we wanted a more healthy Joe Burrow, so let's push it back. It's the first few weeks of the season. Let's do that. All that being said, it's a very real thing that injuries can take a mental toll on athletes. You've seen basketball players that have tore up their that are, flying through the air. They tear up their knee, tear up their ankle. all of a sudden they don't do that anymore. They don't play that same way. We've seen that happen in different sports. Running backs don't look the same. Quarterbacks don't look the same. And this is what scares me. It's adding a new layer of worry for Joe Burrow that I've truly have never had before. My worry with Joe Burrow has been, can he stay healthy? Because what I've seen when he is healthy, he's one of the best players on the planet. He's one of the most productive, most efficient players on the planet. He takes his franchises to heights that we've never seen before. Now, he's been hurt almost every single year that we've had him, in some capacity, some smaller than others. Obviously, there's 2 season-ending injuries there. Now I'm worried, at least in some small capacity, that he might not be the same player ever. And maybe that's just anxiousness about him. But I think it's a fair worry to have. And I'm not going to go overboard until I see him play. But it is nestling in the back of my mind that I can't just worry about him being healthy. Now that worry has a neighbor, and that neighbor is, what if he's not the same player again? And that's what people said when he had this injury. Is we've seen this happen before where he's not going to be the same quarterback that he ever was. And maybe we'll go out there in the first 4 weeks and that worry, that anxiousness will go by the wayside. But it's certainly creeping in my mind because it's coming from his own mouth. It's coming from his mouth where he's saying, I have to realize that I'm not invincible. Everyone goes through this in their life. You're young, you're in your 20s, teens. You live life so much differently than when you do as a 28-year-old. And I'll live life differently 10 years from now than I do right now. Joe Burrows, we're seeing that happen very quickly through the way that he is going about injuries, the way that he is going about coming back from said injury. To now, I'm at least a little worried that he might not be the same player again.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something to be worried about. And the other thing is you just can't play football scared. If Joe Burrow's going out there and he's just constantly thinking about, well, maybe I get hurt again. I've had all these injuries in the past, and he's tiptoeing around and he's scared to take contact and he's not, getting the ball out fast enough or anything. You're gonna get hurt again. Football's not a sport that you can play, at 50%, even at 80%, of speed or anything like that.
Right.
You have to go 100% the entire time to protect yourself. And if that's in the back of his head that he's going to get hurt again, that his football mortality has come into play and his career could end, or whatever you take that to mean, that's not great. And that's what would lead him to not being the same player, like you said. It's not necessarily that he's going to forget how to play football,
right,
or stop throwing the deep ball or anything like that. It's if you get worried about injuries and you're tucking into sacks or that instead of rolling out and extending plays and stuff like that, that's the stuff that makes Joe Burrow a top 2, top 3 quarterback in the entire league. You take that away, then what is he? So, yeah, it's the apparent fear of a reoccurring injury.
And I think the biggest example of all of this is Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck's career was cut drastically short because football was making him unhappy mentally as well as physically. It was taking a massive physical toll on his body. He got roughed up early on in his career, and it lasted throughout his career. The injuries, the surgeries. And I think, and I'll never forget that closing press conference he had, his farewell press conference, his retirement. He said it was injury, surgery, off-season, repeat, and he was tired of it. And I think Joe Burrow was expressing that could be the reality, and that's not something any player wants to go through. But when you play football, as Jacob said, if you're not going 100%, you're not going to be successful. It's just how the game is. It's why it's the greatest sport in the world. It's because every single one of these guys is going 100% every single snap, every single down, and it's physical. It's the most physical sport in the world. Maybe outside of rugby. But saying all that, even that, it's just crazy, and that's what I would be worried about. You're going to get Joe Burrow for a while. He's not retiring anytime soon. He's not going to quit. He's not going to give up. But going forward, it is something to keep in mind. He got sacked how many times in the postseason? 25, 30 times in that Super Bowl, in that Super Bowl run? That's crazy. Those are crazy numbers. No quarterback takes that kind of hit, take those kinds of hits consistently like that. And he did. He's been fighting it. And Joe Burrow, as we know, he's a trooper. He's a warrior. And when he gets up to the press conference, he says he doesn't mind taking a sack. He likes the physicality of the sport. And that's what he'll tell the fans. And you believe him because he's our guy. He's our leader. But going forward, yeah, I think when any player has to deal with the amount of injuries, and I know we don't like to call Joe Burrow injury prone, but when you have to deal with the amount of injuries, the amount of, I don't know what to say, inconsistent off seasons that he's had over the past couple of years, you have to deal with. You have to say that. You have to deal with it. You have to be aware of the issues at hand. Whether or not it's his fault is irrelevant. It's happened to him.
The Bengals have done a good job at investing around him. Obviously, you bring in Trent
Yeah,
Brown
yeah,
this year, you
they're
pay
trying to
Orlando
fix
Brown.
They are
problem.
trying. Yes.
Right, like they've done what we've asked them to do after that original Super Bowl run to try to prevent anything like
Correct.
that from happening again. That injury that he had this year is a freak thing that happened because
Yeah.
of a fairly normal sack play. I mean,
Right.
great O lineman missed blocks. That's not it's not the end of the world, but I am. It really does just come down to if he's scared or not.
Yeah, here's the thing. What do we love most about Joe Burrow? It's his confidence. It's his swagger. It's what do the Gen Zers, Gen Xers call it? Aura?
Aura.
Yeah, that's what we love about Joe Burrow. It's Joe Burr. It's Joe Cool. It's Joe Shiesty. When you strip him of that confidence, and that's what I took out of this quote was there is a little less confidence from him. He's not sure he's going to be okay. He's not sure he's going to always be back. When you strip him of that confidence, what do you have? And once again, I'm reserving the idea that he comes out the first 4 weeks and he looks like the Joe Burrow we know. This anxiety, this anxiousness, this worry that is now adjacent to his injury worry, that goes by the wayside. I'm done with it. I won't think about it anymore. But for the time being, based off what he's saying, when the guy that seemed like the most confident dude in the league has a little bit of a shaky confidence, what do you got there?
Right.
And
It's not like he has the strongest arm or he's the fastest.
Right.
It-
He's not the most talented guy.
It's
in the league.
accuracy and moxie is what gets
Right.
him to where he's been, and if you take that away, what is he?
and again, to finish off some of the quotes he had here, it's they don't have to be ready to go, or they don't have to be ready to roll in June. It's you get ready to go through September, in September through February, and that's how he said he's attacking this offseason. He wants to be out there, and we're attacking it like I want to be out there playing in February. So that's his goal, that's his motto, and he's going to be ready to go. I have no doubt in my mind that Joe Burrow is going to stay healthy this season. I think this is going to be I'm going to be positive, Elliot. This is going to be the Bengals' year where we get back and you have a full season. There's no off-season drama or anything like that. We're not losing injuries. We're going to play, is it still 2 preseason games or 3? How many is it now?
3.
Doesn't matter. He'll play in at least one of them, and the Bengals will have a pretty normal offseason. I have to believe it.
Well, here's I started off this this whole conversation with saying that the most mature thing you can do as an athlete is realize that when you're not at your best,
Sure.
you're a detriment to the team. Growing up, your entire life, your parents tell you, hey, if you're banged up, you play. Football player, baseball player, basketball, it doesn't matter what you play. You tweaked your ankle a little bit, your arm's a little sore, whatever. You go out there and you play. Joe Burrow is now understanding, hey, if I'm a little banged up week 1, week 2, it's okay for me to say, I got to make sure this is good to go. Because we have higher aspirations than beating the Ravens and the Browns week 1 and week 2. I have higher aspirations as this team has higher aspirations. They need me in November, December, January, February. They might not need me in September. All regular season games are created equal. But I think if you ask every single fan, would you rather have Joe Burrow healthy in September? Or would you rather have Joe Burrow healthy in January? It's a no-brainer answer. Right. And that is a positive, that he is admitting that he made a mistake last year and by rushing his calf, that he made a mistake in wanting to play, because that's what gamers do. They want to play. They want to go out the field. They want to help their team. And Joe Burrow has been a major part of the success, if not the catalyst of the whole thing, the engine of the whole thing that has taken a team to a Super Bowl and an AFC championship to where he probably felt like, hey, this team needs me. Now he's seeing, hey, I'm needed to win the championship. I'm needed to beat Patrick Mahomes. I'm needed to get to the AFC championship game. I might not be needed for week 1. That's okay too.
Yeah.
Yeah, great athletes need protected from themselves, and that's basically
yeah,
what it comes down to. Is if you're a great athlete, all you
Yeah.
want to do is be on the field. And obviously Joe wanted to do that last year, and it seems like he's realized that that's not where he's most important to the team.
Yep.
Yeah. Casey, any thoughts on the Joseph
Casey.
Burrow?
Nothing to add. You guys have pretty much eloquently said it. There's not much more than him just needing to be protected from himself. He's been very vocal on being conscious about how he's going to approach that. The team has been very responsive on that. They've done things during the off seasons, the years that leading up to this point, to bolster up that offensive line, to get him the weapons he needs to protect himself. I just think that the whole mentality has changed at this point. You don't need to get ready in June. You need to get ready by August, September. So I'm approving this situation, what they're doing right now, all the things that they're doing right now, 110%. This is good going forward.
So does it add any anxiety to you about Joe? Because you are pretty steadfast in that you're not worried about Joe's injuries. You say he's not injury prone and stuff like that, and that's okay. That's a take. And does this add any worries for Joe that his confidence might be shaken a little bit?
Confidence. I don't think the confidence will be an issue. I think it'll be, if anything, it'll be an actual physical issue with him, right? The injury that he sustained, we don't know a ton of details about it, right? We know that it was a ligament injury, and from things that I've heard, things I've seen online, it's hard to really make a whole good conscious effort in knowing exactly what took place with his wrists. But wrist injuries are finicky, man. I mean, it
Right.
could be a couple years before he gets full strength back in that wrist. And the fact that he's taking days off already at this point, like, he's doing everything that he can to make sure that it's still healthy and strong going into the season. I fear what it looks like maybe towards the end of the season. Are we going to see a little bit of a decline in
Right.
velocity or accuracy? Who knows? But I don't think he's got a confidence issue. His aura is bar none. I mean, there's not another guy in the NFL that I have more confidence in, that probably has more confidence in himself than Joe Burrow.
It was either NFL Trade Rumors or JPA Football, Dove Kleiman, one of those aggregator accounts. They tweeted, is Joe Burrow's aura past his skill?
That was
No.
tweeted from Trace.
Okay.
Trace got a hold of that Twitter account, and he
Dove
tweeted
Kleiman,
that.
Trace.
Wait for Dove Kleiman to tweet out, when will the Joe Burrow honeymoon end? Because I got an answer for you. Never. It's never going to end. It's going to keep on going.
We have one more segment left in the show, but that press conference Joe Burrow gave, what we said, the quotes here, the being aware of the injury stuff, that wasn't the biggest takeaway I had. My biggest takeaway, I will tell you in a bit when we come back. ESPN 1410, Wing AM. And welcome back. Chatterbox Sports, Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Listen, I teased, and by the way,
Greatest tease
I
ever.
love teasing this because the YouTube, they don't get teased at all. They're just about to find out. And by the way, I missed Jacob's fist bump over here. My hand was under my computer, so I'll apologize to Jacob now.
That's all right, Elly.
Joe Burrow, I had to say it. Joe Burrow has been learning to play the piano. That's the biggest takeaway I had. This is a guy who's not only a top 3 football player in the world, he might just be the next Beethoven.
you said Beethoven.
When
like
we
that?
found out that he's
Beethoven.
playing the piano, that adds to his aura. That adds to it.
Oh, yeah.
I love Welcome to the Jungle. They should never change Welcome to the Jungle when they come out on the field. That being said, as Elliot says, how cool would it be if we put Joe Burrow, we just get a camera in the back of the stadium, like back in the tunnels,
Oh, yeah.
and it's just Runaway from Kanye, just like, do, 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 do. And then you get
Oh, my God.
Jamar on the mic like, who got you? Who got you? Who got you? And
Oh,
they come on out.
That would be electric.
The lights sinking in the stadium, with every piano note, the lights flicker.
It'd be
oh
great.
my God! That, you know what? That might be the coolest thing of all time if they're able to do that.
They do
They
that.
won't
Say
do
it
it.
on every show for the next 3 months. You think they'd do it?
Oh, I
They
think they
do
will.
it for
I think they
like
will.
Monday Night Football. They get it all in there, and man, that'd be so cool. And then they do Welcome to the Jungle for the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
you can't take that away.
Right, but like Joe Jamar and
Yeah.
the top build guys, they come out to Runaway.
I made the Reds change. I'm a Reds
You
fan.
did do that.
You did.
I can do this too. We can have our quarterback right before a game play Runaway, the entire 9-minute version.
Now, do we
before
want him
game.
learning Runaway on piano instead of diving into the playbook?
Yes.
Okay. Fair.
Yes.
It's
Just wanna
about.
make sure we're all on the
It's
same
about.
page here.
There's plenty of time for the playbook later. Reed says the first 4 games don't matter. I agree with him. Let's wait till game 5, and that's when we start reading the playbook.
Okay, good call.
By the way, we saw a couple. I didn't know this again, maybe because I'm a Bengals casual. Jacob spotted several Bengals yesterday.
Yeah.
Getting ready for.
Right before we were starting filming Man on the Street, before Casey got there, Jermaine Burton and most of like the low round draft picks came out of the AC Hotel.
Really? They were standing.
Don't want to dox them if that's where the Bengals are putting them up, but
They don't have a place yet.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
They got drafted months ago.
Yeah.
They don't have an apartment
maybe
yet?
they weren't here until training camp started.
Maybe the check hasn't come through yet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do they get paid right off the rip? Do they have to sign paper to pen? Like, do they get the signing bonus?
The
Like,
pictures of them are in the facility always have the pen and paper, but I don't know if that's just.
That's interesting.
I'd imagine they have
appearance.
to. If they're
You have to get. I mean, you have to get the money. Well, people have told stories about how they buy cars and stuff, and they're like, "No, look, I got drafted. Like the money's coming eventually." So maybe it's not instantaneous.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's as good as money. Like,
Right.
Like
Right.
they're just like, hey, we're gonna get paid. I actually heard an interesting story about Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. So they live in a gated community in like Anderson, I believe it is where it is, right on the river there on the east side. And Joe bought this house in this gated community. I think it's near Coldstream Country Club. And he buys the house. Jamar's visiting him at this house. And I guess Jamar loved the area so much and just started knocking on doors going down the street and going like, hey, will you sell me your house? Hey, will you sell me your house? My boy lives down here and I trust Joe. And eventually someone said, sure, Jamar Chase, we'll sell you our house. And that's how Jamar Chase lived on the same block as Joe Burrow. I think that's cool as hell.
Yeah.
And that just tells me he's definitely going to resign.
Can you imagine if we get Justin Jefferson
Did you know they played together
in
at
college?
LSU?
Yes.
What?
What was that guy's name? The other tight end?
Thaddeus Moss?
Thaddeus Moss.
Coach
Yeah.
O.
Clyde Edwards-Hilaire.
That one running back, yeah.
Just the entire street is 2019 LSU. So while we get off that bit,
worst bit we
it
did.
was put in the chat talking about Mike Tomlin signed the extension. We
yeah.
already had that take. Would you trade Zach Taylor for Mike Tomlin? Straight up.
I would do it in a heartbeat.
I wouldn't even consider it.
I wouldn't even consider it either.
Come on.
I would do it. I would do it. No, Mike Tomlin's a damn good football coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to go 9-8 and not advance in the playoffs.
But they made the playoff. That's and this is where the argument.
So
this
this is the
I
last.
I make fun of it too. I make fun of it of the 9-8 stuff all the time. And I think I got angry last year because I bet on the Steelers and they were just so uncompetitive. It was scary in the postseason.
They've had a lot of bad teams.
It's true, but it's at the same time you have to give Mike Tomlin his flowers eventually. The guy's won a Super Bowl.
He gets too many flowers.
I agree. I think
That's
he's one of the
that.
overrated
It's
coaches in the
not giving
NFL.
Mike Tomlin his flowers. I think that we got to peel back the credit a little bit.
I agree.
Like going 500, that's great and everything.
You had
like
Ben
that.
Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, one of the best rosters in the NFL, and you never advanced past the
Their
second round of the
last three,
playoffs.
they haven't won a postseason game since 2017, I believe. 2017, I think that's their last postseason win. In the last decade, they've won 3 postseason games. Those wins came against Alex Smith and the Kansas City Chiefs when they went like 8 straight times without winning the postseason. And then 2 backup quarterbacks, one of them being A.J. McCarron. That's their last 3 playoff wins.
Maybe they lost to Baker Mayfield for the Browns' first
That's right.
playoff win.
That's
when
right.
Roethlisberger's
They
crying on the
haven't-
bench. Like, I don't know. Zach Taylor led a Bengals roster that was garbage to the Super Bowl. Mike Tomlin is not leading that Bengals roster to the Super Bowl.
Let me ask you this though: when you think of the Steelers, do you still have respect for that organization? Do you still
I've
have
never had respect.
when I say that?
I
say
have
that.
respect for the Steelers. I just think that they are operating archaically. Like, I think that they are operating in an old style way. When the game is changing, they're refusing to change.
I also wouldn't trade Zach Taylor for Bill Belichick. I don't think
Great.
Zach Taylor's a better
Agreed.
coach than Bill Belichick. I don't think that model of football is what I
Correct.
want to do offensively and defensively for a team to win a Super Bowl.
That's the right take. That's the take that I want to walk away. When I say that, I don't think Zach Taylor is a better coach than Mike Tomlin, or I don't think Zach Taylor is a better coach than Bill Belichick. I just think that in the current era of the NFL, Zach Taylor's way of operating is more copacetic with championship football than those two. And we're talking about Bill Belichick that has more rings than anybody. We're talking about the most successful head coach ever. Anyone can pick him up. He'll take a job. And we're talking about Mike Tomlin, who's in the division, has never been under 500. I'd still take Zach Taylor over him because I think it's more copacetic with the way that the NFL is being played now.
And I do think there is on the micro level, when you just think about the Bengals organization, and the biggest plus for Zach Taylor, even though we make fun of him, is that he is a – what? What's going on?
Just the super chat.
Oh. Is that he's a culture guy. He fits in well with the Cincinnati Bengals. So from that standpoint, would I want to move on from Zach Taylor when every single player roughly in the locker room loves him, they like playing for him, and you bring in Mike Tomlin, who's had issues, who's had players I don't want to say go crazy, but there's been a couple of big-time ego issues.
We might have played a role in one of them going crazy.
Well, maybe.
I mean, Vontez Burfict dribbled him off the turf.
Hasn't been proven. But certainly there is video of it. My point being that there is something to Zach Taylor. I don't want Zach Taylor fired. Now, if he misses the postseason this year with this schedule, I don't know. But saying that, Zach Taylor does get credit for being a guy that people want to play for. I think David Bell gets that same credit when you talk about the Cincinnati Reds, whether or not people want to admit it or not.
Zach Taylor, David Bell.
I'm not comparing. I'm saying they both have a role that maybe isn't as specific as play calling and designing plays and all football and all sport.
I don't know how we unpack it, but I do think it's interesting that you are so anti getting rid of David Bell, but so for getting rid of Zach Taylor.
Good question.
I don't think we're going to unpack it on a show.
I think
that is interesting.
My whole thing though is football coaching objectively matters. I think coaching in football, if you have a good coach, you can win right away. I firmly believe that. I think his play calling. I mean, obviously, if you have Bryce Young out there and you're the Carolina Panthers, it's going to be hard to win games. But I think that's a sport where if you have a great head coach, it's noticeable on the field. I think if you have a great manager in baseball, I think it can be replaced at any point. That's my thing. It's not even a personal shot at either one of them. It's a sport issue, and that's the point. But saying that, yeah, I as a Bengals fan, and I know the players love him, I like Zach Taylor. I'm not going to try to kill Zach Taylor. I don't want to push him out of town. Saying that, again, if you miss the playoff with this schedule and a healthy roster, I'd be concerned.
We've got breaking news.
Uh-oh. Casey?
I've got it.
No, I know, but I want to hear the sound.
Yeah, do we got a sound? From Hamilton County Court.
Oh.
The streaker from last night's Reds game. His felony charge has been reduced to a misdemeanor.
Yes.
Justice
has been served.
This is an exact quote from the Inquirer today. Everyone thinks you landed that backflip, municipal court judge William Mallory said during the kid's arraignment Wednesday morning.
No, this isn't real, is it?
Yeah.
It's real.
And then he said, I'm pretty sure I did, said the kid who ran on the field, who appeared in court still wearing the Reds jersey. So he didn't get a change of clothes. So they lowered his felony charges to a misdemeanor because it looked pretty sick.
The judge, America's justice system should work.
He said, that was a sick backflip, bro.
That's been my take on charge and block in basketball forever. If it's a sick enough dunk, do not call the charge.
I agree.
If you land the backflip, you don't get a felony. If he doesn't land that backflip, it's a felony.
Mm-hmm.
I'm completely fine with that.
I agree with that. I think it goes the other way too, though. If a guy runs into another guy and the guy takes such a good charge where he slides 10 feet back, I think you have to
a little bit, but you let it go.
You have to call it. It's
agree.
such a charge. I agree with you, and that is phenomenal. That is how the American justice system should work. Right. If it looks cool, the crime that you committed, you get it.
You're good.
You're good. You're good.
For the people.
When Johnny Appleseed and George Washington wrote the Constitution,
That's
what they envisioned.
That's what they envisioned, was a backflip gets you out of felonious charges.
It's just like, how sick is it? It's like if it's over 80% sickness, you get off free.
Will he be banned from Great American Ballpark?
Ooh.
Surely.
Almost certainly.
Surely.
No?
Yeah,
How do they ban him?
Take a little picture.
Take a
of his
picture.
face.
You have his picture. Yeah, it's a Face ID now.
You have to get in the stadium with Face ID?
No, but I imagine they have.
I imagine
that.
they have cameras at the gates, and they'd know if he came in if they had a picture of him.
Oh, really? So they probably use the same thing like casinos use and stuff
I
like
would-
that?
I
would
really?
assume.
I'd
I
imagine.
don't know for sure, but I would assume.
I would assume that as well, yeah.
Because I don't know if you remember the streaker from a while ago. It was he took a selfie video while he was doing it. He ran from one side of the field to the other. I would say it was like 10 years ago. made it. He ran, made it all the way across the field, jumped up over the home run fence, escaped out of the stadium.
Yeah, Minute Maid Park. Yeah.
Didn't catch him. He ran out. No, this is Great American.
Oh, okay.
This was great. This happened at Great American, and the guy ran out. Nobody knew who he was. Everybody cheered for him. Broke free. He only got caught. Because he posted the video to Twitter.
Oh.
And they found it then. They found his name and everything like that. But he got a ban for escaping successfully. So I'm pretty sure this guy's going to get a ban too.
The taser should cancel out the ban. If you get just arrested and taken away, the ban's fine. But he got tased.
Yeah, you're right.
I feel like that should.
Do they need to
let the boy
taser
play.
him?
What?
Do you think they needed to taser him? People on Twitter were saying it was too harsh.
He had a step. He had him beat.
I think you lose the right to be upset with a taser.
No, I agree.
When you get on the field.
I agree.
But pepper spray? Would pepper spray have been better?
Wouldn't have reached.
Yeah, he wouldn't have gotten him.
Pepper
I have
spray
no
would not have
problem
been
with the
better.
taser. I think
I would have rather taken a taser than a pepper spray.
Yeah.
Imagine if he got away and then was just running through the stands trying to get away from security
Well,
guards.
Jimmy Clips would have went and found him.
He would have.
I would have stopped him outside and asked him for an interview.
Hey, quick man on the street with a company called Chatterbox.
I can't wait to find out that Jimmy knew that kid,
Oh yeah.
and it was all staged just so we could get some clips. I'm woke on Jimmy Clicks.
Oh,
I'm
no.
woke on Jimmy Clicks.
Come
It was
on.
staged.
Come on. He went to St. X. If anyone would know him, it would be him.
Ooh.
Maybe we set it up.
Fair
Was
statement.
it Jerpin the Serpent?
It could have been Jerpin.
What a nonsensical nickname.
That was a terrible nickname.
Very funny TikTok, though. I don't know, that's where TikTok, again, not to get on a TikTok tangent, that's where it's funny. If somebody makes a TikTok and it's just nicknames that start with Jacob, that's elite.
Jerpin the Serpent. The other one was, instead of calling your friend Jacob, it was Slacob, like Slay Cub.
Oh, gosh. All right.
This guy stinks.
Listen, that is the worst way to end the show, but that's how we're going to do it anyway. Thank you for listening to this wild show, ESPN 1410 Wing AM. We will be back with you tomorrow discussing the Cincinnati Reds' hopeful split of the Ohio Cup, as it has been for the past 400 years, the way Mr. Ohio intended. But again, this has been Off the Bench. We are Chatterbox Sports, presented by United Dairy Farmers. We are Off the Bench, and we are Ohio. Kinner and Kev up next. And now it's YouTube.
We got one more segment.
We have
in
super
the,
chats,
in
too.
the
I
barrel.
forgot
We got
super
super
chats.
chats that we got to read. I also sent Casey a YouTube clip of a fan escaping Minute Maid Park.
Okay.
It's very similar to the one that escaped Great American Ballpark.
Took a selfie.
But no, he did it. He climbed up and got out of the stadium the exact same way. Man, that's got to be a rush.
Evading a field, once you get over the
Oh,
wall,
it's-
you're home free. You just gotta cook.
Did anyone used to watch before the show got canceled Live PD?
Oh yeah.
When they would run, it'd be great.
They still have 24-hour continuous live stream every day on YouTube.
Of the old episodes?
They just run it. It's
Of
great.
old episodes?
Yeah, I just get on
So it's
there all
not
the
live
time.
anymore?
No, it's live on YouTube, but it's old. Yeah, it's old episodes. But
It's
Really?
so exhilarating. Did you ever watch Live PD?
No.
that was great.
It was. Do you understand the premise? It was like Cops, but it was live. It was literally like they had cameras that following.
So they just live stream. They live stream.
streamed.
They would literally it would be like
violations.
Red Zone, but for cops.
Yeah.
Like they had
Six screens.
They had
that's
they had
incredible.
8 different cops throughout the country live streaming. And they would take you back to the headquarters, and they'd go like, "All right, in Louisville, we've got someone pulling over the #1 golfer in the world." And they would go, they would go live to that, and they would just be like, license and registration. It would be live.
That's beautiful.
It
They
was-
had their own Scott Hansen, host.
Correct.
In the studio at
It
the
was
desk
it was
that would
awesome.
send it
And
to
every
their
once in a
house.
while, you'd be watching, and they would take off, and you'd just be like, "Dude, this is great. It was the most perfect television ever." Then they realized that it might be infringing on some people's privacy. I guess. I don't know.
Rights, probably. There was probably a couple of rights violations there. I
Yeah.
imagine.
Then there was
They blow
there
them
was
out?
there was
You have
some-
to blow them out, right?
I think it was after COVID and all the unrest.
I see.
Civil
Yeah, that
civil
makes sense.
unrest in 2020 that we're like,
That makes sense.
Live PD should probably take a step back. It'll come back at some point.
I love cops content. Whenever cops, the bad boys, what you gonna do? I actually like that stuff. My TikTok feed has some guy named Frank.
That's
And
the
he's out in
new-
Arizona.
It's the new TikTok killer. Is if you're a police department
Oh, yeah.
in the West Coast, you have a TikTok account and you just stream it everything.
Oh yeah, It's great. It's great
really
content.
Awesome. Oh yeah, there's the I think it might be the same guy, but there's outside of Glendale, Arizona.
Oh yeah, it's Frank.
The police department has a TikTok and they stream all their arrests and like pullovers and stuff, and he posts it like on. It's insane. It's crazy.
How big is Tuscaloosa as a city? Like, what's the
Oh, it's
population?
around 1,000.
It's around. So it's a pretty
Yeah,
big.
it's a decent city without the college.
Okay, so Oxford, where Miami is, their police department does updates every Monday of what they arrest, like the situations that they arrested, and it's hilarious every single Monday. Like they'll just be like, yeah, we arrested a cat fighting ring or something like that.
Yeah.
Like they would do a full list of everything that happened. We arrested a guy for disorderly conduct. He was drunk playing with a yo-yo on Court Street, and it would just be like just a list of everything, and it's fantastic.
There's a Tuscaloosa County Sheriff's Office app, and they upload the mugshots as soon as they take them. So we would always wake up and see if we knew anybody that got.
I love that.
Just scroll through. It's the best social media.
Did you ever find anyone you knew?
Oh,
All the time?
That's how we found out a couple of times to bail out my buddies. Talking about bail bondsmen earlier, you'd see them on there and they didn't have the phone yet, and you'd be like, oh, he needs some help.
How much would that cost? How much would that run you up?
It depends on charge. And
The
everything.
charge?
Yeah.
Over $1,000?
Oh yeah, well, usually.
Over $1,000?
For what?
Bail.
So- yeah, bail.
Usually over $1,000?
So
It's
bail.
10% usually.
Yeah, it's
Really?
10% of what you pay a bail bondsman. 10% of whatever bail is. So how bail works is you're basically giving the court a retainer.
Yeah.
You can leave. They'll let you out of jail, but say bail's set $10,000. You pay them $10,000, and if you meet all of your court dates, they give you your money back. So it's just a way of making sure people show up to their court
Just
dates.
collateral from you running away.
And how it is bail bondsmen, like you just pay the bail bondsman 10%, and then they'll put up the money. So they're gambling on you showing up to court.
I love that.
It's great.
Others
Is
can
that your
become a
next
bail
career?
bondsman.
Is that your
His
next
face
career?
just lit up.
I might.
But here's the thing: is you got
That sounds great.
You got to be on call.
Oh, then I'm out.
24/7.
So like
I'm
yeah,
out.
you get
Never
you get
mind,
you get
I'm
a
out.
call at 2 a.m. from
Nope.
somewhere like that. Yep,
Nope.
you gotta
Nope.
have cash ready to roll.
Nope. When I'm off, I'm off. Sorry. and listen, I'm all for crime, but like if it's like
I'm all for crime.
if it's like 7 if it's 7 and I'm at dinner, it might as well be the purge because I'm not coming out.
Well, here's the thing: is you do get to like if you called in like, hey, there's someone over at jail that wants to bail out at 7 p. You're like, oh, I'm gonna go to dinner first. They'll see me when they see me.
Oh, okay.
What are they gonna do?
All right.
Walk calmly and carry a big stick.
I like that. Okay, then I
Now
might
they
be
might
back.
go to another bail bondsman. You might lose business.
Now
but
wait a
like,
minute.
they also-
Now wait a minute. Like so at like 2 a.m. Like if they call me up, like, hey, I went out of jail. I committed a crime. I can say, hey, I want to sleep. I'll see you at 7.
Right,
And
then they have the right to
Then
go
they
to
just call
another
someone
bail,
else.
I
bail
see.
bondsman. You'll lose business, but
I see.
You can't. It's eat what you hunt, whatever that
Yeah.
phrase is.
And
Kill
speak-
what you eat.
Speaking of business, I didn't bring up these super chats yet, so thank you, Molly, a member for 8 months. Molly, you've been absolutely phenomenal. We love you, Molly.
Shout out
And here's the
Molly.
thing about Molly. She gives us gifts, all kinds of gifts. She gave Casey the best gift, and honestly, the gift that keeps on giving with the pants hat. And I'll never stop bringing it up, Molly. Thank you. They will take me to that restaurant, Basil, at some point. I don't know when, I don't know where, but we have your super chat money. We will be going to Basil, and
I'm
I
buying Jimmy
promise
lunch.
you.
I'm buying Jimmy lunch today, so it's wherever he wants to go. By the way, Nate, I gotta specify. He's confused. He said, "Wait, how do bail bondsmen make money? They get paid $1K for a $10K bond. You pay the bail bondsman So if bail's $10,000, you pay the bail bondsman $1,000. They put up the $10,000, and you don't get the retaining fee. Like you're just paying the bail bondsman to put up the cash.
Oh.
Gotcha.
So like if it's you can if your bail's $10,000, your options are to put up $10,000 of your own money. Not many people have that cash on hand. So what they do is they call up bail bondsman. Hey, I'll pay you $1,000 to put up the 10K,
Right.
and then you just don't get they
You
get
don't
their
get $1,000 then.
right. So they're getting paid $1,000 to gamble $10,000 that you show up to court.
Wow. I love gambling. Chad waits, $4.99. Drew Sample drives a Ram work truck, and Reed still sits to pee. Hashtag work. I didn't know where that sentence was going to go, and I'm very happy I found it along the way.
Chad used to
Hashtag
be
work truck. Love you, Zebra. I love you, Chad.
Chad used to be a Team Reed guy, and I don't
And he's
know
not.
what flipped it. I don't know what flipped it. Also, the work truck, show truck thing, there is not a joke that I do that has a better hit rate for as little effort that goes into it. Like I don't change up the joke at all. I just say that looks like a show truck or that looks like a work truck.
Yeah. And
it gets a giggle every time.
It's-
My family sends me pictures of trucks that they're just driving on the road. They'll see a picture of, they'll just drive by a truck. They'll send it to me and say, hey, Reed, is this a work truck or a show truck? And every time I say, no dirt, that's a show truck.
Are there any things that like disqualify a truck immediately when you say work truck or show truck? Is there any disqualifications right off the rip? Like you don't even see the inside. You just take a quick look at it?
Neon lights.
Okay.
Neon lights, typically a covered bed.
Okay.
That's a show truck.
If it's even with the cab, you're driving a minivan.
What?
The truck, like the bed covers that are flat on top,
Yeah.
fine. The ones that are built up and
like
just
the big,
carry it
yeah,
back,
yeah.
You're driving a Tahoe. It's not even a Silverado.
Right.
Truck nuts.
That's a work truck.
I've thought this bit. I've not done it. So here at Chatterbox, we got our first truck like 3 years ago. Now we have three trucks. I thought it'd be so funny to just buy truck nuts and put them on.
Yeah.
And have Trace drive a board event someday, and he's just like, where the hell did these truck nuts come from?
They just released cyber truck nuts, and they're like, they got the angles and everything, like a cyber truck.
They're like, are they like Minecraft truck nuts?
Yeah, it is.
Just blocks. They're just blocks. They just took the fuzzy dice.
squares, yeah.
Well, they just took the fuzzy dice and they just painted them black.
I
Or
agree,
tan.
Cincy B. Oh, look, we got a great super chat from. Look, he's making a thank you, Mouse Cop. I'm not even going to read the name. I'm not even going to read the name.
It's Mouse Cop.
We didn't get to play Hot or Not today.
No, we went over.
That's
Remember,
right.
we started late and then
Yeah, we
we had
started
the false
late.
start.
Yeah, we got
so we
time.
are going to play Hot
or
or
Not.
not with all the City Connect jerseys, unless
of
we
them.
want to put it in the holster for tomorrow.
Let's put it in the holster for tomorrow.
We'll put it in the holster for tomorrow because our TVs aren't working.
Correct.
It would be tough to rate jerseys we can't see.
Well, you'd see it, but it would be on delay.
It'd be on delay.
So then the whole thing would be on
We
delay.
can send it to radio in between each one.
Yes, we could do that. That would be elite, actually. That would be great.
Yeah. Here, Kenner, we have 30 radio segments today. 35 seconds a pop.
Oh, my God.
29.
Sean Connor
yeah,
says,
right.
happy 66th birthday to
28.
Jenna Lee Harrison. Who's that?
No idea.
Well, happy 66.
American actress. She was known who appeared as Cindy Snow, a cousin of the replacement blonde roommate from the hit sitcom Three's Company.
Of course.
Do you know the Three's Company jingle? Show song. Come on, knock on my door. We've been waiting. You guys never seen this show?
Nope.
We've been waiting for you, where the kisses are his and hers. Three's Company too.
Interesting.
What a great show.
I don't know if I've seen
Never
that.
even heard of it.
Yeah, that sounds sus. I don't know if I'd watch that one.
Bring back 80s sitcom situational comedies. Where they would just
no.
have some random fish out of water scenario.
I want the dramas to bring back something like very melodramatic happens, and they play the music, do, and then the guy just stands there and doesn't do anything. He just stares at the camera, like in Full House. Like if you ever watch Full House and like DJ Tanner, like she got caught cheating on a test, and Danny looks at her with such disgust. I can't believe you. And then the music plays, do, and Danny Tanner's like,
Do you feel like you're getting manipulated by the show, by music and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, and it
That's why I
works.
like The Office so much.
Yeah.
No laugh track, nothing like that.
I feel like I get manipulated when I watch like scary movies. Like
100% you do.
Right, they're just like, stop making me feel scared.
Right.
Stop it.
Right, that's fair.
The eerie feeling is a large part of the music business or the movie business.
Right.
There's always I love seeing the people who do the effects, and it'll be like rubbing like a little brush against the microphone and stuff like that. That's pretty cool how they make the sound
Is that
effects.
the
but
original ASMR?
It is. It is the original ASMR.
Did someone just film themselves doing actual sound and post it on TikTok and went crazy viral?
Yes.
About this?
Yes. TikTok's great.
TikTok is great. TikTok, you can get lost in the sauce. I gotta watch the live West Coast Police Department.
It's crazy.
I don't watch enough TikTok live.
There was just one, probably about a month ago now, where they found a house with like 400 pounds of meth in it. Crazy.
In Albuquerque?
Crazy stuff. Might have been. Might have been. Hopefully
So-
there was a pizza on the roof.
Somebody said I remind them of Corky from Life Goes On. I'm going to see how insulting this is. I'm going to look up this person. I'm going to see how insulting
This
this
seems like
is.
it could be bad. His name's Corky. With all due respect to Mr. Miller.
So I'm going to look it up. So so I see it now. I have no comment. I have no comment on the matter. Did you look it up?
Yep.
Good comparison. That was a really good comparison.
What's the joke there?
If I've seen Life Goes On, I think I can figure it out.
What's the
maybe.
joke?
I don't want to say the joke,
Okay.
but I think there is one somewhere in there.
Once again, thank you guys. We asked we asked everyone what you like the new setup. We will have new intro here soon. That's old Rita Roo's job, and he sucks at his job, so he hasn't done it yet. But how did you guys think day one of sitting in this situation?
I like it.
I'm getting the feel back to it. I sat with my legs crossed for so long, and then I got the break of it, and it felt great. So my legs are still stretching from it. But outside of that, I like this little thing. It's still weird for me to look over to Jacob. It's still like I got to get my body in a contortion way where I can look over here more comfortably. But right now it's just like over here. I'm zoned out in this
I got to
corner.
get used to looking up there instead of here when I talk. So
Cor-
that's
yeah.
the next step.
Yeah.
I do think I think better when I'm sitting in a chair where I'm not lounging.
Yeah.
Like when we used to have the high top
Yeah.
producer's desk, that's where I felt like I was thinking the best.
Oh, yeah.
And when we'd sit over there, I felt like my brain wasn't working. And I'm going to have to train myself like, hey, I've got to think better when I'm lounging.
This chair makes me yawn more. I don't know, I don't know what it is. It just makes me yawn significantly more when I'm comfortable over here. Mark Fetters, $5 for a
We
new
are getting a new table.
Shout
We are
out,
getting a
Mark.
new
Thank
table.
you.
Mark Fetters bought this table. People forget that when we were asking
Yeah.
for it. Oh, yeah.
Drew
he did.
Garrison and Mark, right?
Yeah, Garrison and Mark. I think a couple, maybe other people helped chip in too. But they helped get these tables. But yes, Mark, thank you. We will put that to good use.
RM said I should sing more TV
I
theme
didn't,
songs.
I didn't tell this. I didn't tell. You should. I didn't tell this story on air. I'm going to right now to end the show. Casey, can you flip over to you with that hat?
Yeah. I don't know. What's up?
It's that hat right there. Everybody's looking at it right now.
It's a good looking hat. Official memorial hat. of
Official
Chatterbox
memorial hat. It's got the little rope on it, so you know you're cool when you're wearing it. I went over to the memorial, obviously, last week, and I bought it. I felt really cool when I bought it, and I feel really cool when I'm wearing it. I went to the Reds game on Sunday. My buddy has a Bronco. The Bronco, he took all the...
A new
he-
Bronco?
Sick.
Yeah, one
Is
of
it the
them.
little ones or the big one?
Big one. It's a massive one.
Oh, it's four doors?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's legit.
So he
Shout out to your buddy.
Shout out
big
to him.
time.
Works at some sort of computer thing. He makes a lot of money
Encore Technologies.
Wish I was
efficiency and productivity.
and productivity. So we were driving to the Reds game. I was wearing my memorial hat. I was going to show it off to all the patrons that went to at GABP. 10 minutes into the drive, my hat flies off. Flies off. The wind took it off my head. Onto the road it went. I'm not kidding. We spent 10 minutes looking for it. Couldn't find it. Couldn't find it at all. So I said, you know what? We got to get to a Reds game. I was furious. I paid $40 for a hat that I liked. I texted Jacob. He actually texted me, ironically, right before that saying they're out of all the merchandise. And I was going to be like, Jacob, please get me another hat. I'll Venmo you. They were out of all the
I didn't
hats.
have any. I was shocked to see pro shops closed by the time Scotty was
Crazy.
on like whole 6. on
That's
Sunday.
nonsense.
Completely empty.
That's nonsense. But saying that, I lost my hat, and I went the whole day. I had to buy a new Reds hat when I got to the ballpark because it was 100 degrees and we were sitting in direct sunlight. So I do that. I get a text, I want to say somewhere around the 4th inning. And I told my buddy about it. We're in a group chat. I told my buddy about it. I'm like, you know, you don't have to go look for it. He goes and looks for it. His name's Cole. He went and looked for this hat. He found it.
Oh!
Hidden behind a shrub. And he didn't say any words. He just sent the picture of me, or sent me a picture of him with my hat on. And shout out to my Cole. I wanted to tell that story because that made my day.
That's great.
That was
That
I
is
almost
great.
I almost lost my memorial hat, and I would have stolen Casey's. But
Molly, another $4 for the new table fund. We will
Thank
order
you.
a table
Thank you, Molly.
today. We will order a table today.
We will order a $9.99 table.
can we get it big? I want a big table.
Oh, it's gonna be big.
I want a big
We actually
table.
we need a big coffee stand.
Yeah.
With like a logo on it, and then I think I would like end tables.
Yeah. Little
Or
tables
or
are-
like a
the
desk,
swivel desk?
like
Yeah.
a swivel desk, so I can put
like
my
a
lap.
stool, yes.
Yeah, so I could have like a laptop here.
That
We
would
just
be great.
get wooden school desks for the 3 of us up
Oh,
here.
What an absolutely beautiful bit.
what a
And then
look that would be.
Whenever Trey's hosts, we got to swap it out for the left-handed desk.
Or we make him use the right-handed desk. Anyway.
Did your teachers ever, if you had a messy desk in grade school, would they dump it out? Or was I bullied?
I think you were bullied.
They didn't dump my desk.
I was also messy. I was
desk.
very messy. So like when you're like in second grade, like we didn't have lockers or anything, so everything went in your desk. And to teach us cleanliness, which didn't take. To teach us cleanliness, if your desk was too messy, you would just come into school and your stuff would just be all over the floor. Desk would be upside down. Shout out Miss Roseberry.
Nice.
I have very, very vivid memories of cleaning my desk. I want to know if anybody else had that same experience.
Jimmy probably didn't even have desks when he went to school. That's how young he is.
Yes,
it's
I
all
did.
it's all
How
technology.
do you not have desks?
Yeah.
Where Jimmy went to
bit.
school was actually just people just standing on all fours.
Yeah, they're all in costumes and they're all just having fun. Like you can be whatever you want to be, and then it's like
Sure.
1 + 1 = whatever you want, and that's what it was.
Who
No
do you think
desks,
I am?
just all electronic based, like holograms. Do you have holograms at your schools?
It's like the opening
No.
scene of Wall-E.
yes, exactly.
So no one had that same experience. So I was bullied. You know what else?
Seems like it.
You know what
I
else?
think you might have not been a well-liked student if they were dumping your things on.
You
the
know
on the
what
floor.
I was thinking about the other day? You remember when report cards would give like notes from the
Oh, yeah.
teachers? What did your notes say? Like, because I had the same note every.
Mine was always good student talks too much.
Mine was always he's a talker. Mine was roughly the same thing.
Mine, I had glowing reviews more often than not.
Really?
It'd be like, is a delight to have in class, something along those lines. And every time my dad was like, Reed, you're getting bad grades, but you're a delight to have in class. So I was like, I'm a vibes guy. I don't know.
Some of us are vibes guys. That's
Personality hire
it.
from a young age.
Correct.
Don't love that.
I imagine a lot of teachers say that too because they don't want to deal with the parents. So
Fair enough.
that's
Fair
it.
enough.
That has been Off the Bench. Chatterbox Sports presented by United Dairy Farmers. We'll be back right with you at some point tomorrow at 10 a to 12 p ish, roughly. We'll see you guys then.